Chapter 226. Below the inn, there were still people drinking and making merry, accompanied by beautiful women. There were even dancers singing, swaying their hips, seducing people's souls. Sure enough, the women of Shang dynasty did not know the sorrow of losing their country. Emperor Yi was indifferent. He did not even look at them as he led Yi Qinghan to the back courtyard. Wait, little girl, you're being unreasonable. This courtyard is reserved by the young master of the Azure Dragon Mansion. It's not for rent. You should go upstairs and stay in an ordinary room. A servant saw that Emperor Yi was young and had his eyes closed. He felt that he was easy to bully and did not give him any face. He directly blocked the door and reached out to grab Emperor Yi. Scram! If you dare touch me, I'll kill you. Emperor Yi's brows twitched. He wanted to open his eyes and destroy the person in front of him. His cold aura suppressed the servant and made him kneel down. Here's 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals. It's enough to buy your entire courtyard. Go get some hot water and food. If you dare to be impudent again, I'll take your life. Emperor Yi's aura erupted. It was easy for him to suppress a servant. A large pile of low-grade spirit crystals poured out from the universe ring. These were the low-grade spirit crystals that Yi Qinghan did not want. The thrifty emperor, Yi, collected them all and put them to good use. The servant had never seen so many spirit crystals in his life. His eyes shone as he took them all. He secretly hid half of them and gave the rest to the owner. Even if it was only 500 low-grade spirit crystals, the owner was so excited that he trembled. Go prepare hot water for the guest. Inform the kitchen to prepare the best food. Entertain the guest. The courtyard was very clean. Lotus flowers bloomed and the spiritual energy was overwhelming. The blankets in the room were changed every day, emitting a fragrance. Yi Qinghan was placed on the bed. Golden blood seeped out from the immortal robe. His metal origin body was filled with lacerations. Even the origin body could not heal. It was clear how terrifying the price of bearing the God Martial Emperor's codex and the appearance of the Divine Martial Emperor was. Emperor Yi undid the immortal sex Taoist robe and caressed the shocking scars. His heart ached. The servant brought hot water and a bathtub. Emperor Yi wiped his wounds over and over again and cleaned his blood essence. Then he changed Yi Qinghan's underwear and covered him with a quilt. Then he filled the room with mid-grade spiritual crystals and formed a huge spiritual gathering array. Spiritual chi filled the room and flooded into the courtyard. Emperor Yi gently played a divine tune. The heavenly melody rushed up to the 9 heavens and reverberated throughout the city. Everyone listened quietly. Even the cultivators who were in seclusion didn't feel that this was a noise that disturbed their cultivation. Instead, they came out of seclusion to listen to the guqin music. As Yi Qinghan listened to the beautiful melody, he gradually relaxed and fell into a deep sleep. It was extremely quiet and there was no pressure at all. This lasted for an hour before Emperor Yi put away the divine guqin. The heavenly melody dissipated. Everyone was still unsatisfied and felt that it was a pity. There were even some cultivators who fell into an epiphany after listening to the guqin music and benefited greatly. The next day, they frantically investigated to find the source of the guqin music. Emperor Yi lay beside Yi Qinghan. He was in a semi-conscious state. Anyone who approached the courtyard would be alerted. The next day, Yi Qinghan opened his eyes slightly. The first thing he saw was Emperor Yi's tired face. He was filled with grief. The person he wanted to protect was trying his best to protect him in the end. He gently raised his hand, which seemed to weigh 1,000 kilograms. He stroked Emperor Yi's hair and took a deep breath. He stared at the dome of the room and thought to himself, I don't know when I can stand tall and protect the person I want to protect. If I was as strong as the Emperor yesterday, those dead souls wouldn't have humiliated us like this. I need to be strong. All these so-called unjust things will vanish like smoke in thin air. The Xiao Zhanxing of the past and the current imperial domain will not be trampled on by others. Dignity, glory. Emperor Yi was startled awake. Seeing that Yi Qinghan had woken up, he quickly asked, Master, how do you feel? Much better. It's been hard on you. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. He was extremely tired. It's not hard. I'll take you out to eat something. Emperor Yi helped Yi Qinghan up and personally helped him put on the 3 stars killing robe. Yi Qinghan, whose face was as pale as paper, looked like a sickly young master. He no longer had the aura of an invincible battle king. The word kill was dull and lifeless. It was as if the killing robe needed a person's essence, energy, and spirit to support it. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi slowly walked to the front courtyard. It was already late in the morning, and the streets were bustling with people. They were carefree. Occasionally, a large group of adventurers would enter the inn. They glanced at Yi Qinghan, but did not take him to heart. Emperor Yi had his eyes closed the whole time. He was like a servant girl supporting Yi Qinghan's hand. His seductive aura made people unable to take their eyes off him. Fortunately, no one provoked Emperor Yi at this time. Otherwise, they would definitely be dealt a devastating blow. Io. My ancestor. What's going on? I've been by your side for so many years, but nothing good has happened. Luckily, I fainted from fright yesterday. Otherwise, it would definitely affect my Dao heart. The parrot's body was golden. It spread its wings and shook its body like a big rooster. It held its head high and puffed out its chest. It did not look frightened at all. The corners of Yi Qinghan and Emperor Ye's lips curled up. The parrot was probably the only one who had the nerve to say that after being scared unconscious. Why didn't I scare you to death? Emperor Yi snorted and said disdainfully. What does a little kid like you know? What did I see yesterday? That was a great emperor. Oh my God. I believe that even my ancestors have never seen such an existence. The parrot did not feel embarrassed at all. It was an honor to be scared to death by a great emperor. Not to mention that it had only fainted from fright. Ha ha ha. This little parrot is so cute. It actually said that it had seen a great emperor. Ha ha ha. How much is this parrot worth? Is it for sale? There were at least a dozen tables of guests eating in the main hall of the inn. Most of them were at the Fate Palace realm. There were also a few Dao masters. They were all amused by the parrot. Get lost. A bunch of ignorant kids. If you dare to say that you want to buy this divine bird again, I'll burn all your feathers. The parrot was angry. Why did no one care about its prestige? Why did they say that it was cute? Instead of getting angry, the crowd laughed. They did not take it seriously at all. They all asked Yi Qinghan to name the price. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi sat at a table by the window. They looked out at the bustling mortal world. The passers-by could live a carefree life without wars. They sighed. Although these people were ignorant, they were happy. I heard that the Thousand Leaves Galaxy is going to select elites. The governor has come out personally. Now, all the major planets are looking for elites to train. If the governor takes a fancy to them, they might be sent to the imperial domain. TSK. That's going to skyrocket. I heard about it too. The Thousand Leaves Galaxy governor is hosting it personally. The star lords of the major planets are fighting over a spot. It seems to have something to do with the imperial domain. Last night, the imperial domain spread the news overnight. The governor also informed all the star lords. The star lords did not dare to delay for even a minute and summoned all the city lords of the major cities. Did something big happen? How can we be concerned about these things? Let's just wait quietly for the news. These are the elites of the elites. We'll wait. Hee. We'll just watch. When the crowd did not get a response from Yi Qinghan, they started to change the topic. Thousand Leaves Galaxy? Yi Qinghan was stunned. He thought that they were still in the imperial domain. He did not expect that they had actually left the imperial domain and arrived at the Thousand Leaves Galaxy. How long did Emperor Yi fly at top speed yesterday? Emperor Yi obviously did not expect that he had flown out of the imperial domain. He only felt that it was better to be as far away from Emperor Abyss City as possible. He had exhausted all his chi. The god-slaying eagle was so tired that it did not want to move anymore. Only then did he stop. The Thousand Leaves Galaxy was not too far away from the imperial domain. However, the imperial domain was vast and boundless. It was not something that an ordinary person could cross in a short time. Only Emperor Yi with the god-slaying eagle could use half a day and one night to rush out of the imperial domain. This galaxy was several times bigger than the Xiaolong region. The spiritual qi was overwhelming. The cultivators were also several times stronger than the Xiaolong region. There were plenty of elites. However, Yi Qinghan did not discover any true super geniuses. You guys don't know, right? I heard that something big happened in the Imperial domain. Even a major force like the ancient massacre god was mobilized. An adventurer whispered. What is the ancient massacre god? Someone was curious. Obviously, the ancient massacre god was not particularly famous, because it had always been behind the scenes. You don't know about the ancient massacre god. You guys should know about the hunter, right? That adventurer looked at the others with disdain. The hunter. Of course we know about it. That killing robe. Why is that person wearing the killing robe of the hunter? Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi was only wearing the immortal sex Taoist robe, and did not attract the attention of others. However, Yi Qinghan's killing robe was dull and looked like a fake. Fake? This brat wants to become a hunter. He must be crazy. He actually dares to wear a fake killing robe to swindle people. Isn't he afraid that the law enforcers will arrest him? That adventurer looked at Yi Qinghan with disdain. He glanced at the 3 dull stars and the word kill, without any killing intent. He insisted that the killing robe worn by Yi Qinghan was fake. Yi Qinghan smiled. It was not easy for someone to recognize the killing robe. After all, the hunters were not active in the rear of the human race. Most of them were at the front of the battlefield. Most of the human race had never seen the killing robe. I have a distant cousin who is also a hunter. He is already a 1-star hunter. I have seen the real killing robe. That star can steal people's souls. The word kill is like an eternal killing demon that wants to break out of its imprisonment. Even a great revered martial artist would feel scared just by looking at it. Look at this person's killing robe. It's dim, and it's 3 stars. He's only a Dao sovereign, and he looks like he's heavily injured. His killing robe must be fake, the adventurer said proudly. Idiot. The killing robe's power depends on the master's spirit. Now that my master has been seriously injured, the killing robe will naturally be dull, and the word kill will not appear. This is a very normal thing. Don't think that you know how to talk nonsense, the parrot said with disdain. You little bird, if you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll kill you. The adventurer was enraged. Yo, tsk. How could the parrot be afraid of an ordinary adventurer? It immediately raised its head and puffed out its chest, looking down at the crowd. It said with disdain, a rookie like you, this divine bird can send you to the imperial domain with a slap. I'll let you see what the ancient killing god is, what the killing robe is, and then listen to my master's fame and glory. A crisp sound rang out, and the inn quieted down. A handsome young man walked into the inn with 2 women in his arms. He had an arrogant expression on his face as he looked down at the crowd. His eyes swept over the crowd and fixed on Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. When he saw the killing robe, his pupils shrank. Then he looked at the word kill. Sure enough, it was fake. He said coldly, take off your killing robe, or don't blame me for throwing you into the Azure Dragon Manor's prison. Chapter 227. The young man was dressed in an embroidered jade robe, hugging 2 women in each arm. He looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and the killing robe with disdain. Yi Qinghan was incomparably cold, not even turning his head as he continued to look out the window. The parrot glared back at him with an even more disdainful gaze, saying with disdain, Brat, your glabella is turning black. There will be a bloody disaster today. Quickly go home and find your father. Courting death, daring to pretend to be a hunter and swindle people from behind. Are you tired of living? The young man glared coldly at Yi Qinghan, reprimanding him. Are you blind? If you can't recognize the killing robe, then stop pretending. My master is a genuine 3-star hunter, and my little master is a 5-star hunter. They have made great contributions to the human race. This brat doesn't know any better. Scram, don't affect master's mood. The parrot raised its head and puffed out its chest, jumping onto the table and saying arrogantly, Humph, you don't dare to speak, yet you sent a mixed breed of beast to speak. Do you think this young master doesn't know? The hunters are all in the imperial realm, stopping the dead spirits and the myriad races. Those people don't know life from death, actually going against the ghost gods. You are even more ignorant, actually daring to pretend to be one of them. The young man mentioned the hunters, but there was no respect, more sarcasm. That's right. That group of people really have nothing better to do, letting the supreme existence of the forbidden land control the endless universe. Who knows, we might even be able to live forever. But they resisted, saying it's for the glory of the human race. Meddlesome. The two women in the young man's arms were even more ignorant, humiliating the heroes of the human race, drawing the dissatisfaction of the crowd. But because of the young man's identity, no one dared to speak out. This young man was the youngest son of the Azure Dragon Manor principal, Shang Kuan, a complete silk pants. His brain was comparable to Yi Kuan's. Idiots like him were definitely not in the minority, disrespecting the ghost gods. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, killing intent rising in his eyes. It was fine if this kind of trash disrespected him, but he couldn't insult the hunters. Yesterday, countless hunters clearly knew that they would die, but they still rushed up without hesitation, wanting to protect him, protect the Huangjin bloodline, and the emperor corpse. It wasn't that they didn't know life from death, but for the human race. Because if they had retreated yesterday, the ghost gods and the human race would have no more days. They were the undisputed heroes. He represented the glory of the human race, and no one was allowed to humiliate him. How dare you? Yi Qinghan turned his head slightly and coldly looked at the three men and women in front of him. His murderous intention was obvious. What a joke! This young master is telling the truth, not an insult. Besides, this Azure Dragon City belongs to my family. I can say whatever I want. Don't say that you are a fake hunter. Even if you are a real hunter, you still have to stand aside for me. Shang Kuan said in a cold and arrogant manner. As soon as these words were spoken, the inn was filled with murderous intent. A murderous aura filled the air, and the aura of death enveloped Shang Kuan and the two seductive women. Young master is mighty. This servant admires you so much. The two female cultivators who didn't know the difference between life and death had flattering looks on their faces. They made disgusting expressions, as if they really worshipped Shang Kuan. Fellow Taoist, forget it. He's the Azure Dragon Mansion's most favored young master. An adventurer sitting at a table behind Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly as he turned his head to remind Yi Qinghan in a low voice. When Shang Kuan heard this, he became even more arrogant and looked down on everyone. Idiot! How stupid is your father to let you out to bite people? Just based on this sentence of yours, if it spreads to the imperial domain, your entire family should be executed. The parrot shook its head. If it argued with a smart person, it would definitely win. However, it couldn't argue with such a brainless fool. Little bastard, you've angered this young master. Today, I'll let you have a taste of being roasted by fire. Shang Kuan's eyes emitted a cold light as he said coldly. Young master, don't be angry with these lowly commoners. They still want to go to the imperial domain? I'm afraid they'll die of old age before they can even fly out of the Thousand Leaves Star region. Ha ha ha. What a joke. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. Birds of a feather flocked together. This was an eternal truth. Although these three idiots were extremely stupid, what they said was true. No one in Azure Dragon City dared to argue with Shang Kuan. Whoosh Puchida Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. With a flick of his finger, two streams of energy flashed past. The two seductive women in Shang Kuan's arms spurted out blood from their throats, dyeing Shang Kuan's clothes red. Ah, you bastard, how dare you kill my people? I'll let the Azure Dragon army chop you into minced meat. Shang Kuan directly threw the two corpses to the side. He didn't care about their lives at all, but he felt that his dignity had been insulted. Master, don't be angry. Let me handle it. Emperor Yi hurriedly said when he saw Yi Qinghan's pale face. Whoosh that boom. Shang Kuan knew that Yi Qinghan was an expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill two female cultivators in an instant. Shang Kuan didn't even have the chance to resist. Therefore, he directly shot out a cloud-piercing arrow. The arrow exploded in the sky, forming a giant azure dragon in the sky. The dragon's head pointed directly at the inn. Young master, leave quickly. If you don't leave now, it'll be too late. The person behind him warned. That's right. No one dares to provoke him within a 10,000 li radius. The Azure Dragon Manor has always been like this. We're already used to it. No experts will come to this remote city. The Azure Dragon Manor is the overlord of this area. Whatever they do depends on their mood. You guys should leave quickly. Otherwise you'll definitely implicate this little girl. Everyone warned Shang Kuan through voice transmission, but no one dared to speak up. It was clear how arrogant Shang Kuan was normally. They don't know what's good for them. Looks like this divine bird has to make an appearance. With this small city in the middle of nowhere, if the immortal sects don't come, who can be this divine bird's opponent? The parrot was incomparably arrogant. It could finally show off its skills. Alright, I'll sentence him to death. You go and execute him. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Understood. I guarantee that I'll complete the task. At this moment, Shang Kuan was proudly looking at the large group of Azure Dragon army approaching. The entire Azure Dragon city was shaken. Boom, boom, boom. There were at least 1,000 Fate Palace experts, 100 early Dao sovereigns, more than 10 mid-Dao sovereigns, and 3 peak Dao sovereigns surrounding the inn. Everyone was so scared that they didn't dare to make a sound. Come quickly. There's a bastard who came out of nowhere. He dared to kill this young master's maidservant in front of everyone in the city. He also spoke rudely and insulted my Azure Dragon city. That means he's looking down on the Azure Dragon army. Capture him. Shang Kuan pointed at Yi Qinghan and shouted. Young master, don't worry. It's just a bastard. We'll capture him easily. The deputy commander of the Azure Dragon army, Shang Luo, was a branch of the Shang family. He relied on his connections to reach this step. Although he didn't have any real ability, he was quite good at using his connections to intimidate others. He personally led the army. Within 10,000 li radius of Azure Dragon City, no one dared to disrespect him. More than 1,000 Azure Dragon army soldiers were incomparably dignified. They all wore the same uniform with a lifelike Azure Dragon embroidered on their shoulders. Murderer, scram out here. Otherwise don't blame me for shooting you to death. Shang Luo pretended to be dignified, coldly reprimanding, not treating the people in the inn as human beings. Yi Qinghan coldly looked out the window, sighing in his heart. The human race was so vast. There was no lack of people who would help the villain do evil. Use your killing robe. Don't implicate the innocent. Just exterminate the Azure Dragon Manor's Shang family's direct line of descent, and the evildoers. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up, saying to Emperor Yi. Boom! Emperor Yi's aura erupted, activating his 5th-grade killing robe. The 5 stars on his robe flickered, emitting a divine light. The word kill could steal a person's soul. Weak people would be scared to death just by looking at it. The whole Azure Dragon City was filled with killing intent. They're really hunters. Everyone cried out, trembling from shock and joy. They stepped forward and bowed. Great Lord Hunter, please uphold justice and return justice to Azure Dragon City. And go out and testify for me. None of the guilty people of the Shang family can escape. Yi Qinghan coldly said. Emperor Yi supported Yi Qinghan as they stepped out of the inn. His cold gaze swept over the Azure Dragon army, sweeping over Shang Kuan. The killing intent in his eyes was so dense that it was tangible. Shang Kuan and the others shuddered. Emperor Yi's killing robe was too terrifying. It was much more terrifying than the killing robe they had seen before. It was clear that Emperor Yi's status and strength were much higher. Lord Hunter. Shang Kuan's legs went soft, falling to his knees with a loud thud. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up, looking down at the Azure Dragon army. He wanted to see if they were sincerely helping the Azure Dragon Manor, or were forced into helplessness. Greetings, Lord Hunter. The 1,000-strong army knelt down, saluting respectfully. Get up. Arrest the Azure Dragon army's higher-ups and the Shang family's people. Those who resist, kill without mercy. Yi Qinghan's will surged, speaking in a low voice. You dare. You eat my family's food, use my family's resources. My father trained you with all his strength. Do you dare to kill your master? Shang Kuan gritted his teeth, unwilling to give up. A trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes as he prepared to kill Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Yi Qinghan did not signal Emperor Yi to make a move. He wanted to see the Azure Dragon army's true colors, to see if they still wanted to dominate the Azure Dragon City. We've had enough. Now that Lord Hunter has personally given the order, what are you waiting for? Some people from the Azure Dragon army were furious, standing up to arrest Shang Kuan, Shang Luo, and the others. The higher-ups of the Azure Dragon army were enraged. Their aura erupted, suppressing the Azure Dragon army that was about to make a move. Those who dared to resist and those who dared not resist were evenly divided. There were good people in the Azure Dragon army after all. Yi Qinghong glanced at them and remembered them all. He said indifferently, "It's good that you have the courage to resist. Now separate from the rest and step aside. I don't need the help of Fate Palace experts. Make a move, the rest are to die." Yi Qinghong was indifferent. It was just a few hundred trash, he didn't care. Whoosh! Emperor Yi and the god-slaying eagle turned into armor, their wings covering space and time. The Azure Dragon City was plunged into darkness. With a flap of their wings, a huge storm formed in the sky, sweeping the hundreds of Azure Dragon army, Dao Venerables, and Shang Kuan out of the city. How dare you? This is the Azure Dragon City. Who dares to behave atrociously here? The immortal sect experts' auras recovered, and their divine senses instantly locked onto Yi Qinghong and the others. The Azure Dragon Mansion Master was actually an expert from the immortal sect. He arrived outside the Azure Dragon City in a flash. Looking at Emperor Ye's soul-stirring 5-star killing robe, and his cultivation level was only a mid-level Dao Venerable, he couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Emperor Ye's identity must be terrifyingly high. Azure Dragon Mansion Master Shang who greets Lord Hunters. May I know why the two of you are so angry and want to attack my son and the Azure Dragon army? Shang Hu pretended not to know and asked in a low voice. Chapter 228. Outside Azure Dragon City, the wind was raging. Emperor Yi gently spread his wings. Even the Dao Masters could not stand still, their faces full of shock. Emperor Yi raised his head coldly. Although he did not open his eyes, his divine sense had locked onto Shang Hu. Although Shang Hu was an immortal sect expert, he could not escape from Emperor Ye's lock. He was shocked. "You are the city lord of Azure Dragon City, the father of this bastard who blasphemed against the martyrs?" Emperor Yi asked coldly. Shang Hu broke out in cold sweat. He did not dare to raise his head to look directly at Emperor Yi. He bowed and said, "Sir Hunter, although my son is a playboy, he would not insult the martyrs of the human race." "Are you saying that I am framing him?" Emperor Yi asked disdainfully. "I don't dare." "Good. Now are you going to seal your Sea of Qi, or do you want me to kill you?" Emperor Yi interrupted Shang Hu indifferently and asked coldly. Shang Hu's expression turned cold. He coldly glared at Emperor Yi and said in a deep voice, "Your Excellency, aren't you being a bit too unyielding? I'm only giving you face because you're hunters. Otherwise, with your cultivation, I wouldn't even consider you worthy of my attention. As the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot suppress a snake in its old haunts. Give me face, and I will repay you double." "Father, this person killed my maidservant." Shang Kuan was hysterical. He pointed at Yi Qinghong and roared. He could not wait to kill Yi Qinghong. "You shut up, idiot. We have spoiled you too much these years. You have been doing evil all day and doing nothing, causing trouble. Now apologize to the two lords." Shang Hu rebuked angrily. "There is no need for him to apologize. Your face is worthless. Kill them." Yi Qinghong was indifferent. He could tell that this cultivator from the celestial sect had not done many good deeds. Keeping him alive would only harm his own kind. Yi Qinghong couldn't be bothered to waste his breath and directly ordered Ren Huangyi to kill him. "You don't want face. Today I'll destroy you." Shang Hu was furious. His immortal aura erupted as he reached out to grab Yi Qinghong and Emperor Yi. Qin. Emperor Yi radiated divine light in all directions and transformed into a divine Guqin. Waves of light sparkled and his aura soared into the clouds. Even though his 5 fingers and the god-slaying eagle armor had transformed, they were still cut by the Guqin strings and blood splattered everywhere. Groan. The sound of the zither was filled with murderous intent. A sound blade tore through the air, shaking the heavens and the earth. The great path rumbled. Boom. The sound blade instantly shattered the attack of the celestial sect expert, piercing through the void and piercing through Shanghu's body. Bang! The body of the immortal sect expert exploded into pieces, staining the void with blood. He didn't even have the chance to struggle before his life force was destroyed, and he died tragically on the spot. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Shang Kun was almost scared to death. An expert from the immortal sect, the strongest expert in Azure Dragon City. He was killed by a little girl at the middle stage of Tao Master Realm. In the name of the Emperor, I sentence the blasphemer to death. Emperor Ye's voice was so majestic that it shook the mountains and rivers. Hundreds of experts from the Azure Dragon army fell to their knees and begged for mercy, not daring to refute him. Fairy, please spare our lives. We can't. Boom. The sound of the zither transformed into a sharp sword that pierced through the void and appeared outside the city. Sand and pebbles flew in all directions and went against the flow of the heavenly river. Crack, crack, crack. A terrifying deep crack appeared on the ground. The sword chi instantly killed hundreds of Azure Dragon Army experts and high-level Tao Masters. Their blood stained the ground, and their corpses were all reduced to dust. Blurg. The adventurers had experienced countless battles, but had never seen such a scene. They all retreated and vomited. Whoosh! The parrot spat out a mouthful of fire, igniting its vigorous chi and blood. The sky was set ablaze outside Azure Dragon City. With a plop, the crowd saw Shang Kun collapse to the ground in fear. His pants were wet as he stared at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi in horror. You don't respect the martyrs but respect the ghosts and gods. You're definitely not the only idiot in the human race, but you're definitely the only one who dares to insult the martyrs. It's too easy for you to be sentenced to death. In your next life, you can reincarnate into the monster race. Yi Qinghan disdained trash like Shang Kun. He gathered a bit of destructive chi and directly killed him. The remaining Azure Dragon Army experts swallowed a mouthful of saliva as cold sweat dripped down their backs. Their hearts were beating so fast that they felt like they were about to explode. Go deal with the Azure Dragon Manor. It's time to change a new Manor Lord. Yi Qinghan calmly looked at the adventurers behind him and said, You are all natives. Go gather everyone in the city and judge the Shang clan. The guilty will not be able to escape, but it's best if you don't frame an innocent person. Yes. My lord, we will never frame an innocent person. The Azure Dragon Manor has done too much evil in these years. There are probably only a few innocent people left. The group of adventurers rushed towards the Azure Dragon Manor. The Azure Dragon Manor was grand and luxurious, even bigger than some of the palaces in the Imperial region. Who knew how much wealth it had accumulated over the years? Are you all courting death? How dare you act so atrociously in the Azure Dragon Manor? Bang! Emperor Yi opened his eyes slightly. The light of destruction pierced through the cultivator's body and instantly burned him into nothingness. The moment the Azure Dragon City heard that the Shang family and Azure Dragon Manor were going to be judged, all of them wanted to tear the Azure Dragon Manor apart. Yi Qinghan felt like his head was about to split open. He waved his hand and ordered the Azure Dragon City to select a person of virtue and prestige to become the Manor Lord. The person would be responsible for all matters of the Azure Dragon City. He also ordered someone to pass down the order. The Star Lord of this planet immediately acknowledged the fact that the Azure Dragon Manor's Manor Lord was going to be replaced. Emperor Yi took out the treasures the Azure Dragon Manor had accumulated over the years. There were countless treasures, including some grade 5 treasures. These treasures were the best for recuperating one's body. Yi Qinghan used these treasures to recover a portion of his battle strength. On the third day, Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi out of the Azure Dragon City, heading straight for the center of the planet. This planet was called the Thousand Dragon Star. It was slightly bigger than the Owl War Star, but it had more resources. Thus, the cultivators here far surpassed the Owl War Star. The main area of the Thousand Dragon Star was a vast city called the Thousand Dragon City, named after the Qianlong family. The Thousand Dragon Star was the Qianlong family's private property. The Qianlong family was an ancient family that was incomparably powerful. They had a god realm expert and had always been the overlord of this place. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were very low-key at this moment. They did not wear their killing robes, appearing like a rich young master and a servant girl on a scenic tour as they quickly approached the Thousand Dragon City. Inside the Thousand Dragon City, the Qianlong family was holding an emergency meeting. The experts of the immortal sects coldly looked at the younger generation and said in a low voice, "Two young experts have come to the Thousand Dragon Star. You'd better not cause trouble and provoke them. If anyone dares to bully others, immediately banish them from the family." Tens of thousands of direct disciples and powerful branch family disciples sucked in a breath of cold air. The Qianlong family had always been the overlord of this planet. The Qianlong family's disciples were the emperors of this planet. They did not need to give face to anyone who came. Who was it this time? Who could make the Qianlong family panic? They actually called for a family meeting to warn everyone in advance. Third master who came. Did the Emperor Realm's prince come personally? The Qianlong family's little princess, Qianlong Yunxiao, was curious, and her eyes lit up. The people she wanted to see the most in her life were young experts at the Emperor Realm. That's right, Third Master, tell us. The young experts of the Qianlong family were all curious, and their eyes were filled with battle intent. They wanted to compete with the Emperor Realm's prince. I don't know who came, but the Master of the Stars personally reminded me to pay attention to a young man and woman. If I find them, I must treat them with respect. So don't mess around. Someone who can make the Master of the Stars pay attention to is definitely not ordinary, warned the expert of the immortal sections. Qianlong Yunxiao looked at a young expert beside her, blinked and said, "Brother Daybreak, didn't you want to challenge an Emperor Realm expert? Your chance is here." Qianlong Daybreak was the strongest expert of the Qianlong family's younger generation. He was in the early stage of the Immortal Gate, and his combat strength was unparalleled. It was rumored that he had killed a mid-stage Immortal Gate existence, and was comparable to an Emperor Realm expert. However, he had never fought an Emperor Realm expert before. The Qianlong family was looking forward to the day when he could be comparable to an Emperor Realm expert and become a pseudo-emperor, or even a quasi-emperor. If that happened, the Qianlong family would become even more powerful, and it was very likely that they would dominate the Thousand-Leaf Star Zone. Qianlong Daybreak was as handsome as jade. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he whispered, "Soon, it will be the battle that will make me famous. Announce that we're looking for a young man and woman. I want true experts. Inform me immediately when you find the target." The Qianlong family quickly became active. The Qianlong family's patriarch did not stop them. Instead, he was somewhat hopeful. It was just a challenge from the younger generation, so it should not be enough to anger an Emperor Realm expert. Outside Qianlong City, a blue bird soared through the sky, and thousands of flowers bloomed. The spirit chi was rich, and it made people feel refreshed. A young man and a young woman came with the wind. The man was as handsome as jade, and the woman was otherworldly. Although they attracted the attention of many people, no one treated them as Emperor Realm existences. "Master, how much of your combat strength have you recovered?" Emperor Yi was worried. If he entered the main city at this time and got into a conflict with someone, it would be easy for problems to arise. 70%. It's just that I've used up a little too much of my origin, so I'll need a lot of time to recover. Yi Qinghan looked very relaxed, but his injuries were still very serious. Yi Qinghan raised his head and looked at the vast Qianlong city. This ancient city had a history of 10,000 years and had witnessed the arrival of great emperors. It was full of ancient charm and vicissitudes, and it was awe-inspiring. Purple chi came from the east, and the mighty heavenly river was filled with great Tao patterns. Experts were born in large numbers. Early-stage Tao sovereigns were everywhere, but there were not that many immortal sect experts. As for divine martial experts, there was not a single one. Even if there were, they lived in seclusion like ordinary old people. Let's enter the city and experience the Tao of Qianlong City. Yi Qinghan smiled slightly. The Qianlong family's Qianlong technique was a top 7th grade secret technique. If one cultivated it to the peak, they might be able to step into the false emperor realm. It was worth learning from. I know the principle of the Qianlong technique. The law of their attacks is the trap technique, especially the joint formation technique. It can trap high-level experts, and after a long time, it's not a problem to kill experts of a higher realm, the parrot explained proudly. You know a lot, but it's a pity that it's useless. Yi Qinghan shook his head slightly and smiled faintly. Don't underestimate this divine bird. When I get the origin of fire, I can evolve into a 9th-grade devouring godly eagle, an existence comparable to the divine phoenix. The parrot raised its head proudly and said with great dissatisfaction. Chapter 229. Thousand Waterfall City was vast and majestic. The parrot chattered incessantly as he followed Yi Qinghan into the city. An ancient aura greeted him. The huge Thousand Waterfall City was actually the private property of an ancient clan. No one knew how strong this ancient clan was. It was very likely that they wouldn't lose to a fake emperor clan. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were shocked by Qianlong City. Ancient buildings that towered into the clouds rose and fell continuously. They were filled with the markings of the precepts. Qianlong City, which had witnessed the arrival of the great emperor, had the majesty of the great emperor, which made people revere him. Let's pay a visit to the Thousand Waterfall ancient clan and see their secret technique and tyrant martial technique. Yi Qinghan held Emperor Ye's hand and walked towards the depths of Thousand Waterfall City. The Thousand Waterfall ancient clan had countless buildings and branches and direct descendants. There were hundreds of millions of people in total. After all, they had been passed down for countless years and had a deep foundation. Yi Qinghan looked up at the entrance of the Thousand Waterfall ancient clan. There was a huge stone tablet that was 10 meters tall with the words Thousand Waterfall Ancient Charm, lasting for 10,000 years engraved on it. He was somewhat expectant. A clan that had been passed down for so many years was already something to be proud of. Many quasi-emperor clans might not be able to pass down for so long. Just as Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi arrived at the entrance of the Thousand Waterfall ancient clan, the Thousand Waterfall ancient clan received the news. A large number of experts rushed out and looked curiously at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. They couldn't see how a pale-faced young man could be an emperor. As for Emperor Yi, she looked like a maid with her eyes closed. They didn't think she was an expert at all. I am Yi Qinghan. I am passing by with my disciple, Emperor Yi. I have come to pay a visit to the Thousand Waterfall ancient clan. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly and said, the Thousand Waterfall ancient clan's grand elder, Thousand Waterfall Lufeng, personally came out to welcome them. He frowned slightly as he felt that something was wrong. Yi Qinghan's cultivation was too low. How could he have attracted the attention of the domain lord? I welcome you on behalf of the Qianlong clan. May I know if fellow Yi is from the imperial region? Qianlong Lufeng probed. I am indeed from the imperial domain. I am a 3-star hunter. This is my disciple. He is also a 3-star hunter. Yi Qinghan transformed into the 3 stars killing robe, and Emperor Yi followed suit. His murderous aura radiated in all directions, seizing one's soul. Qianlong flowing wind sucked in a breath of cold air. A Tao master was actually a 3-star hunter. How strong was their combat power? Qianlong Daybreak and Qianlong Yinshao stepped out of the Qianlong ancient clan and looked at Yi Qinghan with confusion in their eyes. Wasn't he supposed to have the battle prowess of a arch? Why were there 2 Tao masters here? And why did they look so sickly? Please come in. I want to have a good exchange with the young experts of the imperial region as well. And I want the juniors of the clan to know more about the geniuses of the imperial region. Qianlong Flowing Wind didn't think that Yi Qinghan was sickly. He could see that he was seriously injured, and his true combat power hadn't been revealed. Yi Qinghan smiled. The ancient clan was indeed an ancient clan. They had a strong foundation and magnanimity. The group entered the Qianlong clan. Countless experts surrounded them and looked curiously at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. They were secretly surprised. Did the Qianlong clan hold a special meeting for the 2 of them? They couldn't see anything special about them. Thousands of young children gathered in the Qianlong ancient clan's martial arts field. They were cultivating together. They looked to be only about 10 years old, but their cultivation was not inferior to the blood ignition realm. It was clear how terrifying the clan's foundation was. Fellow Yi, my Qianlong ancient clan has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Do you think we are worthy of your attention? Qianlong Flowing Wind was arrogant, but didn't show it. However, one could hear the pride in his heart. Such a clan was not inferior to the super forces of the imperial region. Senior, you're being too courteous. This junior here isn't a native of the imperial region. It's just that I've only arrived here later on and joined the ranks of the hunters. Therefore, there's no need for you to think too highly of me. Yi Qinghan smiled calmly. Indeed, an ancient race being like this deserved to be proud of. Yi Qinghan didn't act overbearing. Qianlong Flowing Wind couldn't help but feel satisfied. He brought them to the forest pavilion in front of them and looked at the martial arts field from afar. Senior, I would like to see the Qianlong combined attack secret technique and the strongest secret technique of the Qianlong clan, the tyrant martial attack technique. I wonder if you can broaden my horizons? Yi Qinghan looked at the thousands of disciples in the martial arts field. They were rather imposing. He couldn't help but want to see what the strongest secret technique of the ancient clan was like. Qianlong Flowing Wind hesitated for a moment. Until now, he hadn't figured out Yi Qinghan's true origins. He couldn't be sure if Yi Qinghan was the person the region lord wanted to pay attention to. It was too casual to reveal the Qianlong clan's secret technique. Qianlong Breaking Dawn raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, the Qianlong combined attack technique and the tyrant martial attack technique are not secret techniques for show. If you want to see it, you can be my opponent. Oh, can I really? Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and looked at Emperor Yi. He decided to let her experience the ancient clan's secret technique. No problem at all. I can fight you personally with the tyrant martial attack technique, as long as you can withstand it. Qianlong Breaking Dawn's battle intent surged. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Yi Qinghan's 3 stars killing robe. He said coldly, don't worry. The ancient clan won't take advantage of you. I will suppress my cultivation and fight you on the same level. Qianlong Breaking Dawn was extremely arrogant. He didn't think that his battle strength was any weaker than the emperor's son's. Even if Yi Qinghan really had the battle strength of an emperor's son, he would still defeat him on the same level. Yi Qinghan shook his head. His source was damaged, so he wasn't in the right state to fight. He understood that Qianlong Breaking Dawn was no ordinary person. His battle strength was probably not inferior to Gu Qingyu's. If he wanted to win, even if he was at his peak, he would have to pay a certain price. Son, go and experience the ancient clan's Qianlong combined attack technique and the tyrant martial attack technique. Don't be careless, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Qianlong Breaking Dawn frowned and said unhappily, what do you mean? You want a little girl to fight with me? Are you looking down on me, or my Qianlong ancient clan? Breaking Dawn, don't be rude. Young Master Yi is seriously injured and his source is damaged. It's not convenient for him to fight. Qianlong Flowing Wind reprimanded. Since young Master Yi is not suitable for battle, it's unfair for my brother Breaking Dawn to fight with a little girl. It also doesn't show the strength of my Qianlong ancient clan's secret technique. Since that's the case, I'll reluctantly fight with this little girl. How about it? Qianlong Yunxiao smiled and walked up to break the awkward situation. Her voice was as clear as an oriole's. Qianlong Yunxiao was also a super existence among the younger generation of the Qianlong clan. Her tyrant martial attack technique had been cultivated to the 4th level, which was only 1 step away from Qianlong Breaking Dawn. Her palm could break a top-grade 4 spiritual weapon. If she used her full strength, her tyrant martial attack technique could break a grade 5 combat weapon. The Qianlong clan was very confident in Qianlong Yunxiao. They felt that it was more than enough to deal with Emperor Yi. All right. Yi Qinghan nodded. This time, he only wanted to see the tyrant martial attack technique and the Qianlong combined attack technique. If Emperor Yi fought with Qianlong Breaking Dawn, it would be easy for him to severely injure the other party. It would inevitably embarrass the Qianlong ancient clan. Emperor Yi's peak combat strength was probably not inferior to Yi Qinghan's. In fact, he might even be stronger. The zither immortal crimson demon physique could turn one's body into a zither, and its melody could break all laws. Even the gold origin physique couldn't defend against it. My son, be careful, Yi Qinghan reminded him telepathically. Emperor Ye's killing robe fluttered as he slowly stood up. His invincible battle posture burst forth. There was a world of difference between when he was fighting and when he was docile. Everyone was stunned when they saw Emperor Ye's temperament change. They watched as he took a light step forward and stepped 1,000 meters away into the martial arts arena. They all gasped. The law of space. Qianlong Yunxiao immediately knew that Emperor Yi was definitely a top-notch expert of the same level. The arrogance in her heart immediately dissipated, and she treated him as an expert of the same level. All disciples, leave the martial arts arena immediately. Take a good look at the battle between the geniuses of the imperial domain and our Qianlong ancient clan. It will be very beneficial for your future cultivation. Qianlong Flowing Wind said in a low voice. His voice spread over a radius of 10 miles. Yunxiao, your cultivation level is higher. Be careful. Don't hurt the guests. Qianlong Flowing Wind kindly reminded, not wanting to hurt their friendship. It's fine. Fairy, go ahead and use your full strength, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Qianlong Yunxiao was dissatisfied and glared at Yi Qinghan. She felt that Yi Qinghan was too arrogant. As a great martial venerable, she rarely had an opponent even in the same level, let alone a little girl with a lower cultivation level. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. The reason why he let Emperor Yi fight this time was naturally because he wanted her to gain more battle experience. If Qianlong Yunxiao suppressed her cultivation level, then it would be meaningless. Thinking of this, he raised his head and said, Fairy, if you can win by half a move or two, I will give you a complete profundity of origin. Qianlong Flowing Wind and the others were stunned. A complete profundity of origin? Wasn't this bet a little too big? Even their ancient clan, which had been around for 10,000 years, did not have a complete profundity of origin. With a complete profundity of origin, the strength of the entire clan would increase by a level. Are you serious? Qianlong Yunxiao clenched her fist and asked in a low voice. Of course. As long as you can win, Yi Qinghan calmly replied. Young master, you can't joke about this. Qianlong Flowing Wind suddenly stood up. Her eyes were filled with anticipation and dissatisfaction. She felt that Yi Qinghan was joking. I never joke. If this fellow Taoist is willing to teach my disciple and can win, then my words will still count. Yi Qinghan was going all out in order to give Emperor Yi another life and death experience. He was even using the profundity of origin as bait. Kikik. Qianlong Breaking Dawn clenched her fists and looked at Yi Qinghan. She said in a hoarse voice, Young master, how can you be so arrogant? Even if your disciple has the battle strength of a princess, it is impossible for her to defeat me with the difference of a small cultivation level. Why can't I see any sincerity in you to use the profundity of origin as a wager? Hua. Yi Qinghan waved his hand in the air. A water dragon emerged from a large river within the Qianlong ancient clan and pierced through the void. It twisted and turned with an extraordinary aura. It swooped down from the void and bared its fangs. It was as if a true dragon had appeared. With a twist of his finger, the water dragon coiled around Emperor Yi. He looked down at the crowd, shocking everyone from the Qianlong ancient clan. The profundity of water origin is very complete. As long as anyone of the younger generation can defeat her, I will give it to that person. Even if the Qianlong combined attack technique can defeat her, it will be the same, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. All right. Since you want me to fight, then I will fight. I will teach the younger generation for you. Qianlong Breaking Dawn's aura erupted. Her immortal sect battle robes fluttered in the wind. She looked down on everyone and stepped into the arena. Chapter 230. Qianlong Breaking Dawn had an extraordinary aura and elegance. He landed on the martial arts practice field and looked at Emperor Yi as if he was a junior. He put his hands behind his back and looked very relaxed. Emperor Yi waved his hand, and a divine guqin appeared in his arms. He was waiting for Yi Qinghan's order. Qianlong Flowing Wind's fingertips trembled, and he was very excited. He thought to himself, whether Emperor Yi is a princess or not, he can't defeat Breaking Dawn as a middle-level Tao master. The Qianlong family will definitely win the profound meaning of water, but I have to make it clear that Yi Qinghan can't take advantage of it. Mr. Yi, if Breaking Dawn defeats Emperor Yi, will you teach him the profound meaning of water? Qianlong Flowing Wind stared at Yi Qinghan and asked in a deep voice. Yes, as long as he can win. But if he loses, I also want to experience the tyrant martial aggressive attack of your Qianlong family. What do you think? Yi Qinghan said with a smile. Qianlong Flowing Wind trembled and his eyes shone. He stared at Yi Qinghan and realized that Yi Qinghan came for the tyrant martial aggressive attack. He couldn't help but feel uneasy. Yi Qinghan stared at Qianlong Flowing Wind. He was determined to win the tyrant martial aggressive attack. The tyrant martial aggressive attack was a secret skill named by the Divine Martial Emperor himself. It was recorded in the Divine Martial Emperor's code that the tyrant martial aggressive attack would be immortalized through the ages. It could strike mountains and rivers and break the sun and moon. If one wanted to prove his Tao, he could cultivate the tyrant martial aggressive attack. A 7th grade secret skill that could be valued by the great emperor must have its strong points. A secret skill that could be valued so highly by the great emperor must be unique among the 7th grade secret skills. Once this sentence was spread, the value of the tyrant martial aggressive attack would skyrocket. It would even attract thousands of races, forbidden lands, and experts of the human tribe to fight for it. Don't worry. My son and I will only experience it. We won't teach it to others. Yi Qinghan looked at Qianlong Flowing Wind calmly. There was no expectation in his eyes, which made Long Flowing Wind very puzzled. Judging from his expression, he doesn't seem to be looking forward to it at all. Why would he be willing to use an essence quintessence to bet against my Qianlong clan's tyrannical martial technique? My tyrant martial aggressive technique is one of the 2 most powerful secret techniques of the Qianlong clan, and it has never been taught to outsiders. Rumor has it that even the Supreme Divine Martial Emperor has cultivated my clan's tyrant martial aggressive technique. Furthermore, it also repaired the tyrant marshal's fierce strike technique without any flaws. Therefore, this tyrant marshal's fierce strike technique has always been my family's most precious secret technique. Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind was extremely cautious. What? In your opinion, a complete water origin profound is inferior to the tyrannical marshal's horizontal strike technique? Or do you think Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn will lose without a doubt? Yi Qinghan asked with a smile. The corner of Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind's mouth twitched. He had been provoked by Yi Qinghan's provocation. He immediately said in a deep voice, "All right, but before I agree, I must first understand you. The tyrannical martial horizontal strike technique cannot be handed over to someone of unknown origin. My master is the top genius of the ancient killing god, a disciple of the Tao realm Holy Land. The heavenly dragon sacred dynasty promised to marry the little princess to him, but my master refused." The parrot could not hold back anymore, and rushed out to say. Yi Qinghan smiled and suppressed the parrot directly. He said indifferently, "Senior, you can ask the ancient killing god or any pseudo-emperor or quasi-emperor of the other Tao realm Holy Lands through the Star Master. They all know that kid, I'm a hunter, which is enough to prove my identity." Qianlong Yunxiao and the others gasped as they stared at Yi Qinghan with their eyes wide open. There was a look of disbelief in their eyes. He was only a Tao master, but he was able to make the 9 great Tao realm Holy Lands and the ancient killing god quasi-emperor aware of him. How heaven-defying was he? Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind sent a message to the leader of the Thousand Dragon ancient clan, Thousand Dragon dominating martial, and he quickly received a reply. He only replied with one word. Yes. All right. I'll bet with you. Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind's eyes flashed, but he was curious. Who was Yi Qinghan? What was Thousand Dragon dominating martial doing? Why did he only reply with one word? According to the rules of the competition, those who enter the arena lose. If one side admits defeat, the other side can no longer attack. This time the main focus is to learn from each other. Don't hurt the harmony. You may begin. Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind said in a low voice. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn looked at Emperor Yi, who had his eyes closed and did not frown. He did not want to waste time. He formed a seal with his hands, and his figure flashed. The sky was filled with shadows, and the shadows of his palms seemed to be real, shaking the void. Tyrant Martial's sweeping technique. An angry roar was deafening. Yi Qinghan stared at Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn and grasped his trajectory with his eyes. He saw that Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn was exuding a domineering aura, and his right arm was like a divine weapon that wanted to forcefully break the sky. Emperor Ye's frail body was distorted, and he was constantly shaken by this terrifying aura. Emperor Yi did not make a move. His divine sense locked onto Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn, and he felt the trajectory of his opponent's every move. He even felt that the speed of Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's true essence was increasing crazily. Bang! Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's body turned into a divine weapon, and he slashed across the sky. His true essence poured out like a divine sword, wanting to shake Emperor Yi into dust. Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind was very cautious, and she was ready to save Emperor Yi at any time. She hoped that Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn would win against Emperor Yi, but she also did not wish for Emperor Yi to suffer heavy injuries and offend this unknown and strangely high-status Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! Emperor Yi instantly disappeared from everyone's sight. None of the young powerhouses noticed how Emperor Yi disappeared, but Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind, a divine martial powerhouse, saw it. Her steps had already reached the pinnacle of subtlety, and her body flashed under the Tyrant Martial's sweeping technique. If she had been just a little bit higher, the Tyrant Martial's sweeping technique would have snapped her in half. Unfortunately, Emperor Yi dodged, and only a strand of hair was cut off. Then, the Tyrant Martial's sweeping technique shattered it into nothingness, and it disappeared without a trace. Qianlong Flowing Wind sucked in a breath of cold air. He was shocked by Renhuang Ye's terrifying speed. She didn't use the law of space, but she could dodge the Tyrant Martial's sweeping technique. Is she really only at the middle level of Tao Master? Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind was so shocked that she could not speak, and she murmured in her heart. Emperor Ye's expression did not change, and his divine senses were still locked on Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn. His fingertips moved slightly, and a strand of melody shattered the void, and a murderous aura filled the air. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's expression changed slightly, and she felt that her Taoist heart was in a frenzy, and her true essence was restless, wanting to rush out of her body. Humph! Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn snorted, and used part of her strength to suppress the restless true essence and calm her Taoist heart. She had lost 20% of her battle strength. I've underestimated you, but if you want to dodge my attack with speed alone, you've underestimated me. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn shone brightly, and her palms moved faster and faster, and her method of forming seals became more and more advanced. The law elements between heaven and earth were stirred, and the overbearing aura became more and more intense. Emperor Ye's eyes were still closed, but none of her seals escaped from his divine senses, and the direction of her true essence was clearly detected. Tyrant Martial's sweeping technique, break the Milky Way. Boom! The array of the martial arts practice field was activated, and divine light shot out in all directions. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn was indeed the top expert of the younger generation of the ancient clan. She transformed into a divine martial, and her aura could break the Milky Way and the ninth heaven. The entire martial arts practice field was under her attack. Yi Qinghan's fingertips moved slightly, and his eyes were fixed on the battlefield, for fear that Emperor Yi would be in danger. Buzz buzz buzz, the melody was hurried, and it swooped down to the Milky Way. The celestial dipper glove was cut by the strings, and blood stained the divine zither. The divine zither became more majestic, and it wanted to suppress everything in the universe. Swoosh, the space shattered, and countless overbearing sharp blades cut across the void, surrounding Emperor Yi. Swoosh, swoosh. Emperor Yi used the spatial law, and with her initial success in the law, the entire sky was under her control. Countless sharp blades disappeared inexplicably, and they killed their way into a different space, unable to approach her at all. However, there were too many sharp blades, so many that it was impossible to count them all. There would always be some sharp blades that could break through the void and rush in front of Emperor Yi. They swept past his forehead, and a drop of blood essence floated out. Emperor Yi calmly controlled the space, and more overbearing sharp blades appeared, and then disappeared. This made Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn suck in a breath of cold air. Only now did she realize that the gap between her and Emperor Yi was like heaven and earth. Even if Emperor Yi stood there motionless and allowed her to attack, she wouldn't be able to harm even a strand of her black hair. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn could also see that Emperor Yi didn't attack at all, and only used the law to allow her to attack freely. If she didn't use the 4th level of the Tyrant Marshal's sweeping technique, it would be very difficult to defeat her. Her face couldn't help but turn ugly. Was this the battle strength of the Empress? Even relying on a major realm couldn't shake her. Buzz Emperor Yi and the God-slaying eagle turned into armor, and their wings covered the time and space. The martial arena was plunged into darkness, and then golden light shot out in all directions. The pressure made it difficult for the experts to breathe, and it alarmed the experts of the Thousand Dragon Ancient Clan. While more than 10 divine martial experts arrived, and they looked at Emperor Yi and Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn in shock. They were speechless for a long time. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn had always wanted to fight with the Emperor's son and Empress, and her dream had come true. If they were at the same level, Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn would have lost already. Be careful. I'm going to use my strongest battle strength. If I can't block it, I'll immediately retreat from the martial arena. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's eyes were cold. Although she had lost, she didn't lose her mind. Her hands clawed at the void, and the aura of primal chaos poured out. The aura of an ancient overlord enveloped her, and the golden body emitted a tyrannical aura, as if it could pierce through the universe and time. Emperor Yi slowly plucked the zither strings, and the murderous sound of the zither spread out, suppressing Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's battle strength, and forcefully mobilizing his true essence. Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn used half of his battle strength to suppress his true essence, and he could only mobilize half of his true essence. However, his aura was still overwhelming. If it wasn't for Emperor Yi, he could have fought the Emperor's son at the same level. Even if he lost, he wouldn't lose too badly. Unfortunately, his opponent was Emperor Yi, and he didn't have the battle strength of a princess, but the physique of a human sovereign. Extreme Dao Tyrannical Martial 10,000 miles. Boom boom boom. Hua hua hua. A bolt of lightning appeared, piercing through the universe. It fused with Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's true essence, and turned into a golden divine dragon. It swept across thousands of miles, causing the sky to shatter. The array formation of the martial stage had been activated to the highest level. At this moment, Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's battle prowess was no weaker than the Imperial Prince's. Boom! Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind, and the other divine martial experts stood up and approached the martial arena, ready to save Emperor Yi at any time. Emperor Yi's face was as calm as water. His eyes were closed, and his slender fingers pressed on the zither. He whispered, "Zither transformation." Hua! A divine light shot up into the sky and broke through the clouds. The gigantic zither stood there, as if an extreme Dao monarch weapon had descended, suppressing everything. Break! Ren Huangyi plucked 3 invisible strings. His true origin poured out, and transformed into an emperor arrow that could shoot through the endless universe, and pierce through time and space. It appeared in front of the golden dragon, and its chi was unstoppable as it entered the golden dragon's body. Chapter 231. A sharp arrow pierced through time and space, entering the golden dragon's body and exploding. Qianlong's strongest attack dissipated in the air, while the sharp arrow pierced through thousands of miles and rushed into the end of the universe. It exploded in the depths of the endless universe, illuminating the horizon. Everyone was stunned. Qianlong was stunned on the spot, his face full of disbelief. His Dao heart roared as he landed on the martial arts arena dispiritedly. He muttered, "Is the battle strength of the crown prince and princess really so unshakable? I'm the strongest expert of the younger generation of the ancient clan, but I can't even shake a mid-stage Dao sovereign little girl. Lost." How is this possible? Qianlong Flowing Wind's eyes were filled with disbelief. Qianlong had always been the pride of the ancient clan. He was confident that he could fight against the crown prince. But he had lost inexplicably. The other party had only used one move. Emperor Yi returned to his Dao body and was extremely calm. He formed a seal with his palms, and the aura of the feudal marshal was even stronger than Qianlong's. He struck with his palms, and the air billowed. Feudal marshal's aggressive technique. Emperor Yi had only exchanged 3 moves with Qianlong, but he had used the complete feudal marshal's aggressive technique. The tens of thousands of experts of the ancient clan were about to go crazy. This was a huge blow to the ancient clan, who didn't waste decades, or even centuries to cultivate the feudal marshal's aggressive technique. Even a basic mental cultivation technique would take a few years. How long did Emperor Yi use? Half an hour. There was nothing more shocking than this. Qianlong had lost. It could only be said that Emperor Yi's battle strength was really terrifying. However, Emperor Yi had instantly learned the first stage of the feudal marshal's aggressive technique. That was too terrifying. Qianlong's Dao heart was rapidly changing. It was very likely that it would shatter. His expression turned even uglier. Daybreak. Calm down. Qianlong Flowing Wind roared, his voice like thunder. Qianlong Flowing Wind looked at Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan and said in a low voice, "Please tell me your origins. I don't believe that you're just hunters." "That's right, please save Daybreak's Dao heart," the experts of the Thousand Dragon clan said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan didn't expect Breaking Dawn Qianlong to set himself as such a great target. He actually wanted to be mentioned in the same breath as the Imperial Sun, yet he had lost to Yi Qinghan. It was inevitable that such a reaction would occur. If the path heart of a young cultivator of the ancients was shattered because of a competition, the ancient Qianlong clan would definitely resent them. Breaking Dawn Qianlong, do you know who Emperor Yi is? Yi Qinghan sent a voice transmission to Breaking Dawn Qianlong's consciousness. Qianlong Daybreak stared at Emperor Yi and murmured. His face was lifeless. Even if Emperor Yi was the princess, he could not restore his broken heart. She has the physique of a savage human emperor. Zither immortal crimson demon physique. Not to mention you. Even if the princes and princesses encountered her, they would still be defeated. You were able to force her to use her full strength. Losing to her is an honor, not a disgrace. Yi Qinghan berated. Breaking Dawn Qianlong's body trembled. Savage human emperor physique. That was no longer the strength of an imperial prince. That was the physique of a future emperor. It was indeed an honor to be able to force a future emperor to use her full strength. Breaking Dawn Qianlong's aura suddenly erupted. Not only was his Dao heart not shattered, but it became even stronger, as steady as a boulder. Qianlong Flowing Wind was overjoyed. He looked at Yi Qinghan gratefully. He knew that Yi Qinghan must have told Breaking Dawn Qianlong about their true origins and identities. Moreover, Emperor Yi's status must be frighteningly high. Otherwise, Breaking Dawn Qianlong would not have become like this. Unlike the others, Qianlong Yinshao stared fixedly at Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi was already so terrifying. As her master, how powerful would Yi Qinghan be? Unfortunately, what Qianlong Yinshao did not know was that if Emperor Yi were to use his full strength, even Yi Qinghan would have to stand aside. If he wanted to defeat Emperor Yi, he would have to at least complete the 9 revolution chaotic Dao body. Breaking Dawn Qianlong bowed and respectfully said to Emperor Yi, "Daoist Emperor Yi, please enlighten me. I am willing to personally lead the team and use the Qianlong combined attack technique to become your stepping stone." Qianlong Flowing Wind and the others were stunned. They did not understand why Breaking Dawn Qianlong was so humble and willing to be his stepping stone. Who was Emperor Yi? The future empress of all ages? "All right, thank you." Emperor Yi spoke. His voice was like the sound of nature. Qianlong Combat Immortal, Qianlong Ultimate Martial Arts, Qianlong. Breaking Dawn Qianlong called out the top 10 experts of the younger generation of the ancient Qianlong clan. Qianlong Flowing Wind was so frightened that his expression changed drastically. With such a team, using the Qianlong combined attack technique, they could blast a low-level emperor's disciple of the Immortal Gate into pieces, let alone a mid-level Dao Lord like Emperor Yi. Breaking Dawn, what are you doing? Don't be rude. Qianlong Flowing Wind scolded in a deep voice. Qianlong Flowing Wind thought that Breaking Dawn Qianlong was jealous of Emperor Yi and wanted to take the opportunity to kill him. It's okay. I want to see the real Qianlong combined attack technique, Emperor Yi said in a low voice. Whoosh! Emperor Yi merged with the god-slaying eagle armor again and flew up. The array was broken. He looked down at the top 10 experts of the martial arts practice field, including Qianlong Yunxiao. I will be the eye of the array. Use all your strength. Breaking Dawn Qianlong stared at the top 10 experts behind him. Any one of them could dominate a region. If they joined forces, their power would be earth-shattering. Tap, tap, tap. The 9 experts surrounded Breaking Dawn Qianlong and spun at high speed. The whole martial arts practice field turned into a cage. Golden light flashed, and no spells could enter. The origin was blocked. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Emperor Yi was in the air with his divine zither. He played the zither with both hands. His black hair danced, and the world was restless. Countless people felt their blood boiling, and their blood was being purified. They wanted to rush to the martial arts practice field and fight. The aura of the top 10 experts burst out. Their black hair twined, and divine light filled the sky. When they worked together, their combat power was not inferior to the combat power of the imperial prince. They formed a prison in the martial arts practice field and imprisoned Emperor Yi on the spot. Tyrannical martial strike, zither breaks mountains and rivers. Human sovereign, heaven and earth collapse. Emperor Yi's body was like a divine butterfly. He danced gracefully, and the mountains and rivers rose and fell. The divine zither shone brightly, and the prison of heaven and earth could not suppress his human sovereign aura. Boom! She integrated the tyrannical martial art into her zither Dao and turned it into the most terrifying attack. The void shattered, and the prison of heaven and earth shook violently. The top 10 experts formed hand seals, and their combat power was fully unleashed. Their true essence poured into the prison of heaven and earth, suppressing Emperor Yi. They kept draining the spiritual qi in the prison, quickly depleting Emperor Yi's true essence. The divine martial artist's hair stood on end, and they looked at Emperor Yi in horror, as if they were looking at a goddess. Qianlong combined attack. Tyrannical martial art attack break. Breaking Dawn Qianlong shouted angrily. He mobilized his unparalleled combat power, and combined with the true essence of the other 9 experts, he attacked the prison of heaven and earth with the most terrifying tyrannical martial art attack. Yi Qinghan's pupils constricted. Such power was definitely not inferior to Lin Aoqiong's peak sword. It might even be stronger. Their combat power had been multiplied by 10 times. This attack could definitely kill someone with a top-tier imperial bloodline. Zither transformation. Tyrannical martial art attack. Zither illuminates mountains and rivers. Heaven and earth mourn, 10,000 arts gather, shattering heavenly Tao. The gigantic zither shone brightly, and its aura spread for thousands of miles. Emperor Yi's terrifying aura exploded, shocking millions of miles, and rushed into the Thousand Leaves galaxy. It was as if a great emperor had descended, suppressing the qi and blood of the experts. A sharp sword shot out from the shadow of the zither and attacked the opponent's tyrannical martial art attack. Boom! Emperor Yi's tyrannical martial art attack was the true tyrannical martial art attack. All shackles were pushed aside, and the combined attacks of the top 10 experts were destroyed continuously. The sharp sword rubbed against the sky, and it was quickly consumed and shattered. It was terrifying. This Qianlong Flowing Wind was so shocked that he could not speak. Even his own Dao heart was beaten black and blue, and he felt like he was going crazy. When did the Qianlong ancient clan's combined attack and the tyrannical martial art attack become so weak? This is impossible. Breaking Dawn Qianlong roared. The eye of the formation was under terrifying pressure, and he kept retreating. His boots were crushed, and his body was distorted. His face was ferocious, and he swore that he would not retreat. The glory of the ancient clan could not be defeated. Boom! The sharp sword and the attacks of the top 10 experts exploded in the void at the same time. The airwaves broke through the confinement of the formation, and the divine martial experts all came out to block the aftershocks. Their faces became serious, and they looked at Emperor Yi with eyes full of respect. Puff! Breaking Dawn Qianlong and the other top 10 experts spat out a mouthful of essence blood. Like kites with a broken string, they fell backward. Emperor Yi did not have it easy either. This attack used up all of his strength, and even the power of the god-slaying eagle was drained. The god-slaying eagle shrank back, and its weak body fell to the ground. Yi Qinghan shifted his position and caught the pale-faced Emperor Yi. In a flash, he returned to his original position, as if he had not moved at all. Streams of true essence and the origin of water poured out of Yi Qinghan's body and into Emperor Ye's. Emperor Ye's face gradually regained its color. He groaned softly, and his eyebrows twitched. He wanted to open his eyes. Yi Qinghan did not want to bear the light of destruction. He covered his eyes with his hands and said softly, "Rest well." Ren Huangyi fell into a deep slumber. The mark of the divine Guqin continued to spin, sucking away all the spiritual qi between heaven and earth. The amount of spiritual qi was rapidly being restored. The Thousand Dragon clan was deathly silent. They were all afraid of disturbing the goddess. Breaking Dawn Qianlong knew that Emperor Yi had the physique of a human sovereign, and it was the #1 human sovereign in the wilderness. The Thousand Dragon clan's joint attack and Tyrant Marshal's horizontal strike were able to force Emperor Yi into such a state. It was an absolute honor. However, Qianlong Yunxiao and Qianlong Battle Immortal did not think so. The top 10 experts had joined forces. Except for Breaking Dawn Qianlong, they were all great martial venerables, and Breaking Dawn Qianlong was at the initial stage of the Immortal Gate. But such a joint attack had actually lost. They did not feel good about it. After a long time, Emperor Yi woke up. His battle prowess had once again increased significantly. He held Yi Qinghan's large hand like an obedient girl next door. He bowed slightly and thanked them. "Thank you." Breaking Dawn Qianlong's face was flushed. It was as if he saw the future emperor thanking him. He was so excited that he could not speak. After a long time, he knelt on one knee and cupped his fists. Breaking Dawn Qianlong of the Thousand Dragon clan is willing to follow Emperor Yi with the top 10 experts of the younger generation. We will protect you until death. We beg for your mercy and take us in. It was not so easy to conquer a follower. Emperor Yi had conquered the top expert of the younger generation of the Thousand Dragon clan in just 2 hours. Flowing Wind's expression was ugly. The strongest elite of the ancient clan was willing to be someone else's follower. Moreover, it was a little girl in the Dao sovereign realm. Even if Emperor Yi had the chance to become a quasi-emperor in the future, he did not have the right to do so. Big brother. Battle Immortal Qianlong and the others looked even worse. They felt that Breaking Dawn Qianlong had gone crazy. He wanted to be a follower, and even dragged them along. Kneel. Emperor Yi is worthy of your kneeling. He will be the supreme glory of our human race. Breaking Dawn Qianlong's aura exploded as he angrily rebuked the people behind him. He was incomparably majestic. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly as he pulled Emperor Yi. His eyes flashed. The ancient clan had a deep foundation. If he could take in Breaking Dawn Qianlong and the others, it would be no less than taking in an emperor as a follower. Chapter 232. Qianlong and the others were unwilling to kneel. No matter how strong Emperor Yi was, he was still defeated in the end. How could they kneel and follow him? Qianlong's gaze was cold as he looked at his younger brothers and sisters behind him. He said hoarsely, "Do you think I'm joking? Kneel." The eldest son was like a father. Qianlong's majesty was overwhelming as he suppressed Qianlong Yunxiao and the others. Everyone knelt unwillingly, but they looked at Qianlong Flowing Wind and the others, hoping that the older generation would step in and stop this farce. Qianlong's eyes were like bright stars. He was incomparably deep, and his will was firm. There was no room for argument. He knelt on one knee again and asked for Emperor Ye's permission. Qianlong Flowing Wind understood that Qianlong's will was strong. He wanted to compete with the prince. Now that he was kneeling and willing to be a follower, Emperor Ye's identity was terrifying. It was not as simple as the princess bloodline. Hence he did not stop them. When this was over, They would naturally know the identities of Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi looked up and asked Yi Qinghan. It was up to Yi Qinghan to decide whether to accept followers. Yi Qinghan looked down at the martial arts arena and looked at Qianlong and the others. He said seriously, "Once you will follow for life. If you leave halfway, you will be a traitor. Traitors never have a good ending. Think carefully before you decide." "I will never regret it," Qianlong replied without hesitation. "Do you represent the people behind you?" Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. Once they accepted the status of followers, the mad sect could walk to the forefront of history and begin to develop like a geyser. Qianlong stood up and looked at the 9 people behind him. He said firmly, "You can choose not to follow, but if you don't follow today, I, as the eldest son of the Qianlong family, will expel you from the Qianlong family. You will never be able to return." "Big brother." Qianlong Yunxiao and the others' expressions changed. They did not expect Qianlong to be so determined. "I'm willing to follow Emperor Yi." Thousand Dragon Cloud Xiao had always followed Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn's will, so after a moment of hesitation he took the initiative to declare his position. Battle Immortal Qianlong, and the others were proud of Battle Immortal Qianlong. It was not easy for a mortal body to reach a level comparable to an imperial prince's battle prowess. He had to rely on his terrifying willpower and talent, as well as hundreds of years of crazy cultivation. The fact that he could lower his head and become someone's follower meant that the other party was truly terrifying. Thinking of this, everyone no longer hesitated. "We are willing to follow Lord Emperor Yi." Battle Immortal Qianlong and the others said in unison. Yi Qinghan nodded, indicating that Emperor Yi agreed. Emperor Yi's face was slightly red. This was the first time he had taken in followers, and they were actually the 10 great elites of the younger generation of the Qianlong clan of the 10 millennium's ancient race. If these 10 people worked together and were given some training, they would definitely not be inferior to any of the imperial princes and princesses. "Thank you for thinking so highly of me. You may all rise. I am very honored to have followers like you," Emperor Yi said crisply. "Thank you, my lord, for fulfilling my wish. We swear to follow you until death." Battle Immortal Qianlong was excited. It was as if he was watching a human emperor ascend to the throne and achieve supreme supremacy. It had to be said that Battle Immortal Qianlong was indeed very smart. He had chosen to become Emperor Yi's first follower, and he definitely would not be the last. However, compared to those who came after him, Emperor Yi would definitely trust him more than anyone else. Battle Immortal Qianlong looked curiously at Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi was still a disciple despite his battle prowess. The powerful Emperor Yi was as obedient as a child in front of Yi Qinghan. Then as the master, how powerful was Yi Qinghan? Battle Immortal Qianlong, the 10 of you stay behind. Everyone else leave. I have something to discuss with these 2 esteemed guests. Battle Immortal Qianlong ordered everyone to leave. He then led Yi Qinghan and the others into the central hall of the Qianlong clan. "Both of you, please take a seat. This old man has some doubts. Young Master Yi, please explain. Otherwise, how could I be willing to let you take away the 10 great elites of the younger generation of the Qianlong clan?" Battle Immortal Qianlong said in a low voice. "Senior, please ask," Yi Qinghan replied calmly. "Please tell us your true identities. I believe that apart from Battle Immortal Qianlong, everyone else wants to know what kind of existence they are following." Battle Immortal Qianlong stared at Emperor Yi, who had his eyes closed the entire time. He did not believe that she was blind. The eyes of Battle Immortal Qianlong, Yunxiao, and the others immediately lit up. They all looked at Emperor Yi. They wanted to know who Emperor Yi was, and why Battle Immortal Qianlong had forcefully suppressed them, and wanted them to follow him. Yi Qinghan smiled. Since he had accepted Battle Immortal Qianlong and the others, it was only right that he tell Emperor Yi's identity. Moreover, Emperor Yi's identity had already been made public in the Imperial region. Battle Immortal Qianlong only needed to send someone to investigate. At most, they would just have to waste some time. Hence, there was no need to hide it. "My son has the Savage Human Sovereign physique, and the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique. His battle prowess surpasses the battle prowess of imperial princes of the same tier. Even the golden bloodline is no match for him, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Hiss hiss, everyone gasped. The golden bloodline was the eternal human sovereign physique. He was actually no match for the zither immortal crimson demon physique. If Si Wuxia were here, he would definitely not dare to refute. In his life, the person he respected the most was Yi Qinghan, but the person he feared the most was Emperor Yi. It was deeply ingrained in him. He had never thought of competing with Emperor Yi, because the memories of him being beaten up when he was young were still vivid in his mind. Battle Immortal Qianlong's body trembled. As a member of the ancient race, how could he not remember the zither immortal crimson demon physique? Even if he could not recall it earlier, now that Yi Qinghan said it out loud, a large amount of memories regarding the zither immortal crimson demon physique surged out, causing his blood to boil. Then if you are her master, who are you? Battle Immortal Qianlong stared at Yi Qinghan, his voice trembling. My son has been by my side since he was young, so he respects me. Just treat me as an ordinary person, Yi Qinghan said calmly with a smile. An ordinary person? Was that possible? Could an ordinary person recognize Emperor Ye's zither immortal crimson demon physique? Could an ordinary person cause the zither immortal crimson demon physique to revere him so much? Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique clearly did not believe Yi Qinghan, and neither did Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique. However, with Emperor Ye's human sovereign physique, it was enough to suppress the Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique. In the future, even if the human sovereign physique became a quasi-emperor, his battle prowess would be comparable to a great emperor's. This kind of rare prodigy was enough to intimidate the emperor's son. Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique personally brought the only copy of the Tyrant Martial Technique's secret technique for Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan to comprehend. The two of them were definitely rare geniuses, and they greedily absorbed the mysteries of the secret technique. The Tyrant Martial Technique had 9 moves and 9 levels. When one cultivated to the 9th level, one would be a supreme quasi-emperor. It was not taught to outsiders. Yi Qinghan did not have the strength to cultivate the Tyrant Martial Technique. His origin was too damaged, so he could only read it and memorize it by force. He memorized the route of the technique and the direction of his true essence. Emperor Yi was terrifying. He sat cross-legged beside Yi Qinghan, and quickly comprehended the Tyrant Martial Technique. Others would take a year to comprehend the technique, but he could do it in an instant. This made Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique break out in cold sweat. Even the great emperor was not so crazy when he was young. It was a pity that no one had recorded the scene of the Divine Martial Emperor cultivating the Tyrant Martial Technique. Otherwise, it could be compared to how terrifying Emperor Yi was. Boom! Just as Emperor Yi had memorized all the secret techniques and cultivated to the 3rd level, there was a sudden roar outside the main hall. Grand Elder, bad news. The clan leader is fighting with someone outside. A hurried voice broke the silence of the Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique. Then an Immortal Realm spy rushed in. His face was covered in sweat. He wanted to say something, but when he saw that there were 2 outsiders in the room, he immediately shut his mouth. Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique frowned and scolded. What nonsense are you talking about? How can the clan leader fight with someone? If you have something to say, just say it. They are not outsiders. Grand Elder, I'm not talking nonsense. The clan leader is really going to fight with the other Star Lords of the Thousand Leaf Star Zone. The spy said hurriedly. Where? Why are they fighting? Tell me, why are you talking so much nonsense? Battle Immortal Crimson Demon Physique scolded angrily. The scout looked at Yi Qinghan, gritted his teeth, and said, An ancient ruin was discovered on one of Thousand Dragon Planet's subsidiary dead stars. A pagoda appeared, and a large number of treasures were unearthed. A large tomb was also discovered. I don't know which era it was from, but it attracted the attention of the great Buddha Golden Temple. They asked Thousand Dragon Planet to give up this dead star, but my patriarch refused. They then brought several Star Lords to forcibly remove the dead star. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He was already unhappy with the great Buddha Golden Temple to begin with. And now that an ancient tomb had been unearthed, there might be opportunities waiting for him. Let's go take a look together, Yi Qinghan suggested calmly. Qianlong Flowing Wind was overjoyed. Emperor Ye's bloodline was the Runhuang physique. There was definitely more than just Yi Qinghan behind him. If she was there, the great Buddha Golden Temple would not dare to act recklessly. All right, let's go. Qianlong Flowing Wind quickly gathered dozens of divine martial powerhouses and thousands of immortal sect disciples. Then, they drove the large cloud-piercing ship out of Thousand Dragon Planet. The galaxy was vast, and at the end of the void stood a large man facing off against more than 10 people. Below these people was a dead star that radiated Buddhist light. It was majestic, and it illuminated the void. Yi Qinghan led Emperor Yi on the god-slaying eagle, which was twice as fast as the large cloud-piercing ship. They took the lead and rushed towards the dead star. Screech! The eagle's shrill cry reverberated in all directions, shaking the galaxy. More than 10 divine martial perfection powerhouses turned around and saw that the god-slaying eagle was a 7th-grade divine martial perfection powerhouse. They were shocked, and when they saw the young man and woman on it, they were even more shocked. Yi Qinghan did not get too close. He stood 1,000 li away and looked down at the dead star. He felt waves of pressure and terrifying aura rushing towards the clouds. He saw a 100-meter-tall golden pagoda at the entrance of the tomb. It seemed to be suppressing something, but he also felt that something was summoning him. He became curious. 10,000 years ago, this dead star was definitely alive. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have such an ancient tomb and such a golden pagoda on it. Qianlong Magnificent Marshal, this golden pagoda is proof that this dead star belongs to my great Buddha Golden Temple. Please conduct yourself with dignity. Otherwise, even if this matter reaches the Domain Lord, we will have something to say. The great Buddha Golden Temple's powerhouse said coldly. What a joke. This is my Thousand Dragon Planet's subordinate starfield since ancient times. Old bald donkey, don't think that my Thousand Dragon ancient tribe is easy to bully. Scram now, or don't blame this old man for being impolite. Qianlong Magnificent Marshal scolded coldly. Yi Qinghan sneered. The old bald donkeys of the great Buddha Golden Temple were indeed the same. They would always find all kinds of reasons and excuses to forcefully take what they wanted. He really did not know where their Buddhist cultivation had gone. Chapter 233. Boom! The cloud-piercing ship pierced through the clouds and appeared at the edge of Thousand Dragon Minor Domain. Qianlong Flowing Wind appeared with close to 1,000 experts from the Qianlong clan. Yi Qinghan followed by his side, moving closer to Qianlong Feudal Marshal. Seeing his clansmen arrive, Qianlong Flowing Wind became even more aggressive. The Qianlong clan's joint attack was the best of the best. In a real fight, it was hard to say who would win. Yi Qinghan looked at the 3 great Buddhas of the great Buddha Golden Temple. They were all at the peak of the god martial arts realm. The other star lords were about the same. The weakest one was at the mid-level of the god martial arts realm. Star-Lord Zhuofan, Star-Lord Siquan, Star-Lord Su Chen. This has nothing to do with you. Are you going to play along with Great Buddha Temple's bullying? Qianlong Flowing Wind questioned. These 3 star lords were all subsidiary star lords of the Great Buddha Golden Temple. The Great Buddha Golden Temple had countless branches, but the main temple was a rank 8 existence. The branch temples used their power to bully others, and their behavior was very domineering. This had already caused the displeasure of many star zones. The fact that this dead star has a golden pagoda proves one thing. This dead star belongs to Great Buddha Temple. Even if you make a ruckus in Imperial Domain, Great Buddha Temple will have enough power to prove it. Brother Qianlong, I advise you to back down. Great Buddha Temple will not mistreat you. Zhuofan was an old man with an immortal air, but his way of doing things was unflattering. The moment he opened his mouth, he took the side of the evildoer. That's right. This golden pagoda is obviously the pagoda of the Great Golden Buddha Temple. The treasures that flew out just now also show that this planet is the ruins of the Great Golden Buddha Temple. I think Brother Qianlong won't be so ignorant. Su Chen looked to be in his 40s at most. He had a cunning look on his face, making people wary and unwilling to believe him. Cut the crap. 10,000 years ago, this planet was a subsidiary star field of my Thousand Dragon planet. In the past 10,000 years, I haven't seen your great Buddha Golden Temple raise any objections. Even the Thousand Leaf Domain Lord hasn't said anything. Now that a treasure has been unearthed, you want to claim it? Do you think my Thousand Dragon planet is a pushover? Thousand Dragon Warlord said coldly. Ba. We didn't recognize it for 10,000 years, because we didn't have proof. But now, we have proof that these are the ruins left behind by our ancestors. That's why we have to take it back. A divine martial great Buddha bowed with Buddhist light radiating in all directions. Yi Qinghan had seen too many of these verbal battles. The super clans did not dare to casually start a war, or else many people would die. Most of them relied on this kind of verbal battle to see who was stronger, and who was not afraid of death to win. Therefore, he could not be bothered to pay attention to it at all. He kept his head down and pressed down on the dead star below. A golden pagoda towered into the clouds. It was obvious that something had activated it, causing it to break out of the ground and attract countless experts to fight over it. Behind the golden pagoda was a continuous range of dead mountains. It looked like a vast tomb. If it was really a tomb, then the one buried here would definitely be a peerless expert. It could very well be a false emperor, or even a quasi-emperor. The tomb continued to protrude, and the dead star became restless. Palace after palace rushed out of the ground, and an ancient aura pervaded the air. Array runes shot into the void, capable of tearing apart immortal sect experts. Dong dong dong. Yi Qinghan suddenly felt his Tao heart tremble. An inexplicable tearing force wanted to drag him into the tomb, causing him to retreat in fright. The tearing force suddenly disappeared, as if it was just an illusion. According to the treaty signed between the star lords of the major star fields, any dead star within 3 million miles of the main star field is a subsidiary star field of the main star. It is the property of the main star. This is an indisputable fact. This dead star is only 2,700,000 miles away from my Thousand Dragon planet's main star field. If you continue to cause trouble, my Thousand Dragon ancient clan will definitely report you to the 9 Great Tao Realm Holy Lands. If you have the ability, then go ahead and report us. Great Buddha Temple isn't afraid of you. There's no need for that. There are Tao Realm experts from the 9 sacred lands here today. Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind said. The strong cultivators fell silent. How could there be a cultivator of the Tao plane from the 9 holy lands here? Young Master Yi, please uphold justice. Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind cupped his hands at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was looking at the tomb, attracted by the array of tombs. He didn't expect Thousand Dragon Flowing Wind to drag him out. Great Buddha Temple's people and Star Lords all looked at Yi Qinghan. Seeing him in a 3-star killing robe, they were startled at first, then burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, a 3-star hunter? Does a hunter count as one of the 9 sacred lands Tao Realm experts? Since when are hunters in charge of the Great Buddha Golden Temple's matters? The Great Buddha Golden Temple's expert sneered with disdain. A 3-star hunter in the Tao Sovereign Realm? You can't be a fake, right? Ha ha ha, Thousand Dragon Dominating Marshal, you must be a fool from the Thousand Dragon Star. Zhuofan mocked. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He didn't think he'd be dragged into this, and humiliated to such an extent. Idiot, I don't understand how you reached the Star Lord level. You don't even recognize a 3-star killing robe, and you're saying it's a fake? Why don't you say you ate bird poop and walked around without brushing your teeth? It's so stinky it makes me dizzy and I'm talking nonsense. The parrot raged, as if it couldn't bear to see Yi Qinghan being humiliated. Impudent! Where did this feathered beast come from? Zhuofan's face turned purple, as if he had eaten a pound of flies. Feathered beast, who are you cursing? The parrot roared, stretching its neck like a rooster in a fight. Feathered beast, of course I'm cursing you. Zhuofan's killing intent flared. If not for Yi Qinghan's killing robe, representing the Hunter Hall, he would have taken action long ago. Ha ha ha, feathered beast is cursing me. How can this divine bird bicker with a feathered beast? I am the supreme divine bird. The parrot snickered and returned to Yi Qinghan's body. Zhua Fan's hair stood on end, and his body trembled. Yi Qinghan snickered. I didn't expect Star Lord to look down on hunters. I wouldn't dare. Who doesn't know that looking down on hunters is looking down on our heroic ancestors? What I'm curious about is why you didn't go to the Imperial domain, and instead chose to stay here. Are you a deserter? Zhua Fan questioned. Do I need to explain myself to you? If you think I'm a deserter, you can call the Hunter Hall to arrest me. Yi Qinghan retorted. Even if you're not a deserter, this isn't something a puny 3-star hunter can handle. Scram! Great Golden Temple's Divine Martial Buddha scolded. Qianlong Magnificent Marshal's face turned ugly, while Qianlong Flowing Wind was at a loss. He thought Great Golden Temple would at least give Yi Qinghan some face. But Yi Qinghan was humiliated as well. If a 3-star hunter can't handle this, can a 5-star ancient killing god handle it? A cold voice filled with killing intent resounded. Emperor Ye's golden light shone, the 5 stars circling the sun, swallowing the galaxy. The word kill took everyone's soul, and left them speechless. Zhua Fan was shocked. This was his first time seeing such a killing robe, but it was the real deal. Emperor Ye's cultivation was low and Emperor Ye's status was frighteningly high. He was just like a parrot who bullied the weak and feared the strong. He didn't even dare to speak, and pretended not to hear, leaving the Great Golden Temple's people to deal with him. Qianlong clan's people were overjoyed. They didn't expect Emperor Yi to not only have the human emperor's constitution, but also the ancient killing god's man. The divine martial great Buddha had an ugly expression on his face. It wasn't that he had never seen a 5-star ancient killing god before, but none of them were the same as the one on Emperor Ye's body. There were actually 5 stars circling the sun, and the word kill was filled with murderous intent. It was as if a quasi-emperor was staring at him. I asked you a question. Answer me. Emperor Yi opened his eyes, and the destruction light enveloped divine martial Buddha. In this life, no one dared to humiliate Yi Qinghan, just like how no one dared to bully Yi Qinghan when she was young. Divine martial Buddha humiliating Yi Qinghan was the same as humiliating herself. It was unbearable. Whoosh! The destruction light tore the void apart and shot straight for divine martial Buddha. The destruction light seemed to contain the will of an emperor, capable of destroying all filth in the world. Divine martial Buddha was shocked and used Buddhist seals to block the destruction light. He was pushed back again and again, but he didn't dare use his cultivation to fight back against Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi was too terrifying. She was also the ancient killing god's man. She had such a high cultivation, and was likely a quasi-emperor's disciple. If he hurt her, Great Golden Temple would suffer as well. Fairy, please calm down. I didn't mean to offend the ancient killing god. Apologize. Amitba, this little monk has been rude. Please forgive me, young master and fairy. Qianlong Hao's mouth twitched. He had never seen such a terrifying junior. Every word of his contained the will of an emperor. Even this powerful expert from Great Golden Temple didn't dare to hesitate. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. Ren Huangye's desire to protect him was too strong. It wasn't as if he had been hit by someone. In order to prevent the destructive light from her eyes from affecting his eyes, he quickly pulled Ren Huangye over and had her close her eyes. Son, I'm fine. Step back and let me handle this, Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Everyone suddenly realized that Emperor Yi was as quiet as a child. He stood behind Yi Qinghan meekly. The people from Great Golden Temple knew that they had offended someone they shouldn't have. Senior Qianlong just said that all the dead stars within 3 million miles of the main star field are subsidiary star fields of the main star field. Is there a treaty? Yi Qinghan looked curiously at Qianlong Lufeng and asked. Yes, all the major forces have signed the treaty. It's approved by the Dao realm of the 9 holy lands, Qianlong Lufeng said excitedly. He was a little dizzy from the shock of Emperor Ye's identity. Oh, that's good. Of course, as a 3-star hunter, I don't have the right to meddle in the affairs of a giant like Great Golden Temple. However, Thousand Leaf Star Field seems to belong to the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. Look at this token. Do I have the right to meddle in your affairs? Yi Qinghan casually waved his hand and revealed the medallion Xia Chintian had given him. He stared at the expert of the Great Buddha Golden Temple curiously, because he had no idea what the medallion was for. The Great Golden Temple's divine martial expert and Zhuo Fan's group were startled by the token and bowed. "We welcome the arrival of the Sacred Dynasty's emissary. Please punish us for our impoliteness." Qianlong Lufeng was also frightened by the token in Yi Qinghan's hand. He bowed again and again because this token represented Xia Qintian's arrival. Who would dare disrespect him? Chapter 234. The word Xia was engraved on the golden token. This word alone represented the heavenly dragon's sacred dynasty, and Xia Qintian. The storm in the void blew, whistling past. The pressure below was getting stronger and stronger, and the Buddha's light was getting brighter. Yi Qinghan didn't expect to use the token to suppress others. Moreover, this Death Star had to be explored. The grave below stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles, covering half of the star. It was impossible to explore it completely with just these people. Moreover, it was unknown whether it was dangerous or not. Someone had to die, and the 3-star lords and the people from the Great Buddha Golden Temple were the best candidates. "My lord, this little monk is Shirkong, and these two are my junior brothers Shirquan and Shirfeng. This Death Star belongs to Thousand Dragon Star, but the treasures on this Death Star belong to my Great Buddha Golden Temple. Please deal with it impartially." The Great Buddha Golden Temple's leader didn't dare to go against the token's will, and could only bow. Yi Qinghan smiled and said, "The treasures belong to the fated ones. I won't be biased. Since you admit that this Death Star belongs to Thousand Dragon Star, then the treasures on this Death Star should belong to Thousand Dragon Star. However, this golden pagoda belongs to the Great Buddha Golden Temple. In that case, I'll divide it among you. How about it?" When Shirkong and the others heard this, they were overjoyed. They were afraid that Yi Qinghan would be angry and expel them. If that happened, they wouldn't get a single cent. "As my lord says, we won't complain." Shirkong said righteously, "Let's go down together. When we see the treasures, the Thousand Dragon clan will pick 6 treasures. Then the Great Buddha Golden Temple will pick 3, and the 3-star lords can only pick 1. The rest will depend on your own ability. If there is only 1 treasure in each place, then I can only say that your luck is very bad. You can't force it. How about it?" Yi Qinghan said indifferently, "Thank you, my lord. We have no objections." Shirkong and the others were overjoyed. This was equivalent to getting 40%. What was there to be dissatisfied with? Qianlong Baru's expression changed slightly. However, 40% of the treasures in exchange for a favor from Yi Qinghan was not a loss. Moreover, if they really fought, the Qianlong ancient clan would definitely be at a disadvantage, so he nodded in agreement. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied with Chitaki Baru's performance. Shirkong and the others were his stones to test the waters, so they had to go down. "My son and I only want one of the treasures on this dead star. If we take a fancy to something, none of you are allowed to compete for it. However, we promise that we will not participate in the bidding for any other treasures. Even if we take a fancy to something, we will purchase it with secret techniques or upper-rank spirit crystals. Is that okay with you?" Yi Qinghan's aura sank as he coldly scanned the crowd. "Sir, you're too polite. You can choose as you wish. This little monk will absolutely not object." Shirkong and the others immediately said, "My lord, you're being too polite. If you've taken a fancy to it, just let me know and I'll personally present it to you." Of course, Chitaki Baru would do him a favor. After all, this dead star was ownerless, and obtaining a treasure would be an additional income. "Then I have another request. After entering, no one is allowed to attack each other. Once you kill each other, you may be able to block the attacks of the Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty, but you may not be able to block the attacks of the Dao Realm experts of the 9 Great Holy Lands." Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and 9 golden tokens, representing the Dao Realm experts of the 9 Great Holy Lands, surrounded his golden body. "I'm warning you in advance. If either Emperor Yi or I die on this dead star, you will be buried alive by the Dao Realm boundary emperors of the 9 Great Holy Lands. Even the forces behind you will be uprooted." Yi Qinghan had to be cautious. He and Emperor Yi were both Tao masters. It would be too easy for these old things to kill them. He had to suppress them first. Even if they were in danger, they would have to save him. Otherwise, it would be the same as pushing him and the forces behind him to hell. Shirkong and the others had goosebumps, and Shiitake Baru and the others were sweating profusely. They did not dare to look at Yi Qinghan directly. Shiitake Flowing Wind finally understood why Yi Qinghan could be Emperor Ye's master. He was not an ordinary person. How could he be an ordinary person if he was recognized by the Tao realm boundary emperors of the 9 great holy lands? Shiitake Breaking Dawn's eyes shone brightly. He did not understand Yi Qinghan's true strength, but he knew that Emperor Yi had the physique of a human sovereign. If he protected this girl well, he would definitely become the Tao protector of a great emperor. The Thousand Dragon clan would be promoted to an 8th or even 9th grade dynasty. As long as the great emperor and human sovereign did not die, the Thousand Dragon clan would not fall for 10,000 years. Shiitake Fighting Immortal, Shiitake Jiwu, and the others finally understood how sharp Shiitake Breaking Dawn's vision was. "We swear to protect you," Shirkong and the others said in unison. "The Thousand Dragon clan swears to protect you," Shiitake Baru said solemnly. "Those below the peak of the immortal sect are not allowed to enter. It's very dangerous down there." Yi Qinghan scanned the Thousand Dragon clan members. He did not want to sacrifice innocent people, not to mention that they were his teammates. "The 10 of you, follow us down." Yi Qinghan looked at Shiitake Breaking Dawn and the others, wanting to train them. After all, as Emperor Ye's followers, how could they not take the risk if they were afraid of death? "Yes, sir. We swear to protect Emperor Yi." Shiitake Breaking Dawn and the others were excited, afraid that Yi Qinghan would throw them out too. The Thousand Dragon clan had a total of 15 divine martial experts and more than 100 peak immortal sect experts. Including Shiitake Breaking Dawn and the others, there were a total of 150 people. The Great Buddha Golden Temple had 3 divine martial experts, 2 mid-level divine martial experts, and 1 peak divine martial expert. There were also more than 30 peak immortal sect Buddhist monks. As for Si Quan and the others, the Star Lord did not bring any experts and was only here to help the Great Buddha Golden Temple. Therefore, there were less than 200 people, and all of them stepped onto the Death Star. The runes above the Death Star were bright and powerful enough to tear apart immortal sect experts. The death energy and pressure from underground rushed into the void, making everyone extra cautious. Nearly 20 divine martial experts protected Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. They did not dare to let anything happen to Yi Qinghan or Emperor Yi. No one wanted to be killed by more than a dozen sub-emperors working together. The Golden Pagoda was right in front of them, and within reach. It was filled with vicissitudes and Buddhist light shot out in all directions. It was incomparably majestic and different from the Great Buddha Golden Temple's Dharma. The Dharma here was vast and majestic, making people revere it. On the other hand, the Dharma of Shirkong and the others would only make people feel disgusted. This must be the ruins of the Great Buddha Golden Temple, from before the ancient times. There must be countless treasures inside. The 100-meter-tall pagoda was huge and emitted a powerful aura. Shirkong and the others from the Great Buddha Golden Temple could not help but submit to it. Their eyes were filled with awe and excitement. Yi Qinghan held Emperor Yi with his left hand. Their palms held the ancient killing tablet, and their right hand held the 7-foot frenzy. Emperor Yi held the divine Guqin in his left hand. His 5-star killing robe could steal people's souls. He maintained his god-slaying eagle armor state, but his wings could be shrunk significantly. The group descended below the pagoda and found that it was wrapped in an ancient array. Even after 10,000 years, it was not damaged. This showed how terrifying the person who set up the array was. Senior Shirkong, do you recognize what kind of array this is? How can we enter the pagoda? Yi Qinghan could feel the power of the array. It could tear apart the experts of the immortal sect at any time. He could not help but ask. I don't recognize it. I have never seen such an array before. However, it has the true meaning of Buddhism on it. I might be able to stop it temporarily. Shirkong was cautious. He raised his aged hand and Buddhist light shot out in all directions. He pressed it against the light of the array, hoping to resonate with the true meaning of Buddhism on the array. The group retreated and allowed Shirkong to approach. Boom! Poof! Shirkong had just touched the array when a ray of light pierced through his body. He fell back dozens of meters and stained the ground with his blood. If he had not reacted quickly enough, he would have been killed by the array on the spot. Hiss! Everyone gasped. An expert at the peak of the divine martial realm was severely injured by the array. How terrifying was the array? Yi Qinghan was also shocked by the power of the array. Even if the array was set up by a boundary emperor, it would not be so powerful. There was indeed a fundamental difference between the experts of the ancient era and the experts of the present. The human race had declined. This was an indisputable fact. Cough cough. Shirkong climbed up pathetically and looked at the golden pagoda in horror. He no longer dared to test it casually. There is a fundamental difference between the true meaning of Buddhism and the true meaning of Buddhism that I understand. My lord, I am very sorry. I am unable to open the seal of this array. Shirkong said helplessly. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a mocking smile. This group of people did not even know the dangers of the Death Star, and had already begun to fight for the treasures. He did not know if they were stupid or idiotic. My divine sense is injured. Who can use a wisp of divine sense to test the array's light, and see if it will cause a backlash? Yi Qinghan glanced at the people of the Great Golden Buddha Temple, and asked indifferently, "Let me try." Shirfeng stepped forward and looked at Yi Qinghan. He said respectfully, "My lord, please allow this little monk to raise a small condition. If we open the Golden Pagoda's array, please allow the people of the Great Golden Buddha Temple to choose 3 treasures first." Shirfeng was very smart. He knew that this array was very dangerous. The people of the Thousand Dragon tribe would definitely not be able to open it. The people of the Great Golden Buddha Temple, who could open it, would have to rely on the people of the Great Golden Buddha Temple. No, this condition was agreed upon from the beginning. Don't push your luck. Thousand Dragon warrior replied coldly. Then let the people of your Thousand Dragon tribe test it first. We will just sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Otherwise, why should we test the waters? Shirkong said unhappily. All right, if you can open the array, let your people choose 1 treasure first. If the people of the Thousand Dragon tribe open the array, they will have the chance to choose 1 more treasure. Otherwise, let me test it personally. Yi Qinghan said coldly. No. Sir, you mustn't take this risk. Qianlong Baru, Shirkong, and the others immediately tried to stop Yi Qinghan. If Yi Qinghan was really injured or killed, the quasi-emperor would definitely slap them to death. When Shirfeng saw that Yi Qinghan had agreed to let him choose 1 treasure first, he was very satisfied. This golden pagoda was protected by such a powerful array. There must be many treasures inside. If he could choose the strongest treasure, his battle strength would definitely increase by several times. Shirfeng released a strand of his divine sense. It carried a strand of Buddhist true intent as it approached the array. He hoped that even if it could not penetrate the array, it would not trigger an attack from the array. The array sparkled with divine light, and was extremely terrifying. Waves of killing intent spread out. As soon as it came into contact with the divine sense, it exploded with a terrifying killing intent. It rushed towards Shirfeng, and instantly destroyed his strand of divine sense. Ah! Shirfeng's divine sense was injured. He fell to the ground and twitched. He screamed miserably, and everyone was shocked speechless for a long time. Chapter 235. However, they could not enter the treasured land. Everyone looked at each other, and did not know what to do. They could not touch it with their spiritual senses or their hands. Even if a stone touched the array, it would be shattered into dust. No one dared to go near it. Emperor Ye's fingertips touched a string of the zither, and a strand of zither music spread out. It was clear and pure, without killing or attacking. It was like the sound of nature. The zither music passed through the array instantly, and did not trigger any counterattack. Emperor Ye's spiritual senses followed the zither music, and wandered around the golden pagoda. Inside there were secret techniques and Buddhist scriptures everywhere. There was a dazzling array of golden elixirs and precious medicines. There were many divine weapons from the ancient times. The weakest one was a Tao Lord's war weapon. There were more than 10 Tao soldiers from the immortal sections. They were much more powerful than the immortal sect's Tao soldiers now. The higher they went, the stronger the secret techniques and weapons that appeared. The pressure from the Buddhist scriptures was even more terrifying. However, the higher they went, the more tired Emperor Yi felt. Even the speed at which the zither music dissipated became faster and faster. The zither music was melodious and was about to disappear. Emperor Yi did not dare to take the risk and hurriedly retreated using the melody. There are many treasures inside. I only saw the items below the 30th level. I did not have time to look at the items above the 30th level. Emperor Yi said gently. This sentence made everyone's hearts come back to life. They were even more unwilling to give up. At this time, it was the best choice to let Emperor Yi test the array. However, no one dared to let Emperor Yi test it. They did not want her to test it either. Even if they could not get the treasures, they could not let anything happen to her. See where the array core is. Can you close it with the zither music? Yi Qinghan said seriously. However, he did not dare to let go of Emperor Yi. If the array counterattacked, he could block the attack for her. Emperor Yi plucked another string and increased the power. The melody still broke through the array without any warning and entered the golden pagoda. His divine perception scanned through the bottom level, but he didn't find the eye of the array. He quickly followed the melody and rushed up the golden pagoda. This time, Emperor Yi rushed to the 50th level and discovered even more powerful Buddhist scriptures and ancient secret techniques. They were all in perfect condition, as if they had just been put in yesterday. The growth rings of history had not been added to them. Any random secret technique would cause countless factions to fight over it. The sound of the zither dissipated once again. Emperor Yi rode the last bit of the melody and rushed out of the golden pagoda, unharmed. The eye of the formation should be at the top of the pagoda. It's hard to rush up there with just the melody. Emperor Yi tried several times and reached his maximum strength. However, above the 60th floor of the golden pagoda, the melody would automatically dissipate. There was no way to go up. Yi Qinghan gently touched the divine zither and released a strand of melody. His divine perception followed the melody into the golden pagoda and found that the array didn't attack him. He immediately knew that the array didn't attack because of the divine zither's ancient power. Let's go in and try. Yi Qinghan's eyes flickered. He wanted to use the divine zither to enter the golden pagoda. Sir, please don't. We'd rather give up the treasure than let the two of you be in danger. Shirkong was frightened. Of course, he wasn't afraid of Yi Qinghan being in danger, but he was afraid of being implicated. Young master, let's forget it. We can explore the palace and tomb behind. This golden pagoda is too dangerous. Qianlong Lufeng also didn't want Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi to be in danger, so he quickly advised. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said seriously, I'm afraid the danger behind is no less than here. If we don't even dare to explore here, it's better for us to retreat now. Everyone looked at each other. They wanted to give up, but they weren't willing to. They were already at the entrance of the treasure trove, but they were afraid of the danger and didn't dare to enter. How could they hope for a great opportunity in the future? Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi and took the initiative to approach the array with the divine zither. When the array touched the divine zither, there was no reaction at all. Emperor Yi carefully walked forward and found that the array still didn't retaliate when his arm touched it. He was instantly delighted. Yi Qinghan held Emperor Yi's small hand tightly and approached the array. He found that the array seemed to be blocked by the divine zither. It didn't attack him or Emperor Yi at all. The two of them entered the array, but there was still no reaction. Everyone couldn't help but be overjoyed. They waited for Yi Qinghan to close the array. Even if Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi took away most of the cultivation techniques and left some leftovers for them, it would be enough. Yi Qinghan stepped into the town and found that the world had changed greatly. There was water all around, and the river protecting the pagoda hadn't dried up. The old willows on both sides were luxuriant and had spanned countless eras. It was amazing. There was a plaque on the golden pagoda. It shone with golden light and boundless Buddhist Dharma, maintaining the array for thousands of years. 10,000 Buddha Pagoda. It was a very unfamiliar name, but Yi Qinghan knew that this pagoda must have been very famous in ancient times. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and stepped into the pagoda with Emperor Yi. He looked around and reached out to read the secret techniques. He found that most of them were Tao Master level secret techniques. Many of them had been lost and were very powerful. Buzz. Yi Qinghan took out the Enlightenment Lotus and asked Emperor Yi to open his eyes so that they could comprehend these secret techniques together. With each secret technique, there would be more comprehension. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi read 10 lines at a time and quickly flipped through them, but they were able to memorize all of them. Sweeping sword technique, heavenly blade technique. Yi Qinghan flipped through many ancient books and found that he hadn't cultivated a single one. These ancient books were all lost in the long river of history. These secret techniques were very powerful, much stronger than the same level of secret techniques. The two of them eagerly absorbed the techniques and quickly memorized the first level. They turned and walked to the second level. Outside the Paladin Pagoda, Qianlong feudal marshal, Shikong, and the others waited anxiously, but they didn't dare to leave. Daoist Qianlong. What is the relationship between your Qianlong ancient clan and these two lords? Who are they? Why do they have the Dao realm tokens of the 9 holy lands? Shikong was shocked and wanted to know Yi Qinghan's identity. What? Are you afraid? Didn't you just say that he's a 3-star hunter and doesn't have the qualifications to meddle in the affairs of your great Buddha Golden Temple? Qianlong feudal marshal sneered. Daoist Qianlong, we can fight, but this involves the survival of both sides. Can't you be a bit more serious? If something really happens to those two, I'm afraid our great Buddha Golden Temple won't be the only unlucky one, right? Shikong frowned. Qianlong feudal marshal's expression sank and he said, 2 days ago, they came to my Qianlong star and killed a city lord. I only learned of their names after that, and asked a good friend of mine in the Imperial region through a star field messaging talisman. I learned of their identities, but it's not very complete. Then who is it? Are you trying to make this little monk anxious? Shikong angrily reprimanded. The girl is called Emperor Yi. She has the supreme human sovereign physique, the Zither immortal crimson demon physique. Qianlong feudal marshal said word by word. Shikong's body trembled. Zither immortal crimson demon physique. As long as one was a divine martial powerhouse, they would have heard of it, but no one could recognize it. As soon as he heard that Emperor Yi had the Zither immortal crimson demon physique, his face turned even paler. Then the person I offended is. Shikong felt as if the sky was about to collapse. He wished he could slap himself in the face. He had actually scolded Yi Qinghan and told him to move aside. His name is Yi Qinghan. I don't know what relationship he has with the Dao realm of the 9 great holy lands, but I do know that he has a metal origin Dao physique and is Emperor Ye's master. Most importantly, when he participated in the hunter assessment, he saved over 10 emperor-level youths and hundreds of thousands of hunters. He stopped a calamity in the human world. He has a very high reputation among the younger generation of the Imperial region. The fate of offending him. Haha, you're on your own now. Qianlong feudal marshal mocked. Asterisk zung zung zung. Asterisk Shikong retreated a few steps, his expression extremely unsightly. He glared at Chizen Takeshi and roared. You bastard, you deliberately tricked me and made me contradict him, so you pretended not to know, didn't you? Shikong hated Qianlong feudal marshal to the bone, his eyes almost spitting fire. I didn't even have time to say anything before you laughed and mocked me. You can't blame me, Qianlong feudal marshal said disdainfully. At this moment, the people of the Great Golden Buddha Temple and the 3 Star Lords felt their hands and feet go cold. They were all secretly thinking about how to sincerely apologize when Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi appeared, so that they wouldn't take it to heart. But there's one more thing that you might not want to know. Qianlong feudal marshal wanted nothing more than to scare these people to death. What is it? Shikong asked coldly. A few days ago, the dead spirits and experts of the 10,000 races came to the Imperial region. The human race was in danger. The divine martial emperor used Yi Qinghan's body to descend to the human world and suppress the dead spirits and experts of the 10,000 races. As Star Lords and people of superfactions, you actually didn't pay attention to what happened in the Imperial region. I can only say that you deserve to offend people. Qianlong feudal marshal mocked. The divine martial emperor descended to the human world? You're lying. You liar, how dare you blaspheme the emperor's dignity? Just you wait. Once I leave the Dead Star, I'll definitely report this to the Imperial region. Your 1,000-dragon ancient clan can wait for the wrath of the Sacred Land's Dao realm. Shirkong roared angrily. I'm a liar? This matter has spread like wildfire in the Imperial region. Only someone like you who doesn't pay attention to current affairs wouldn't know. If you have the guts, wait for young Master Yi to come out and question him. Qianlong feudal marshal mocked. Shirkong and the others were indeed scared out of their wits by Qianlong feudal marshal. But the people of the 1,000-dragon ancient clan were gloating. These people who only knew how to bully others deserved it. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi, on the other hand, were greedily absorbing secret techniques and techniques to comprehend the battle techniques of the ancient cultivators. Every time they read a book, their auras grew stronger. Their entire auras were undergoing earth-shattering changes. It was as if they had experienced tens of thousands of years. When they climbed to the 60th floor, the scene changed drastically. Even Yi Qinghan was shocked by the extravagance of this place. A huge shelf was filled with ancient scriptures. Buddhist light shone in all directions, and immortal sect weapons were incomparably majestic. There were all kinds of shapes and sizes, and they could definitely equip the experts of a sacred land. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi watched from the front. The parrot's eyes were shining brightly. It would take every book they put down. In the end, Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan memorized all the secret techniques on the 60th floor. When they looked back, the shelf was empty. There wasn't a single secret technique or immortal sect weapon, but the parrot had an innocent expression. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and said in a muffled voice, I said that my son and I would only take 2. What are you doing? You're representing the 2 of you, not me. Besides, it's better for this divine bird than for those old bald donkeys. They're monks, so they should be vegetarian and reciting Buddhist scriptures. Weapons and secret techniques that fight and kill don't suit them, the parrot quibbled. At most, I'll get a few immortal sect weapons from the 1,000-dragon ancient clan once we leave the Death Star. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Chapter 236. Yi Qinghan and Ren Huangyi held on to the Enlightenment Lotus as they continued to ascend the stairs. However, they discovered that the pressure from above was increasing. Even though the divine Guqin was vast and mighty, it was still difficult for them to bear. With every step they took, Yi Qinghan felt as though he was carrying the weight of a star on his back. Crack! Yi Qinghan's leg was broken, and his face was pale. In the end, he had no choice but to stop and use the pressure here to refine his golden body. Emperor Yi didn't seem to be under much pressure. His killing robes fluttered as he held the Enlightenment Lotus in his right hand. He greedily looked at the light and Yi Qinghan, almost obsessed. She was too infatuated with the feeling of being able to open her eyes and see everything without being enveloped by the light of destruction. Yi Qinghan's leg was repaired, and he felt his entire body go numb. With an inexhaustible energy, he once again burst forth with his will and stepped forward. Boom! Yi Qinghan felt the Paladin Pagoda tremble, and he felt dizzy. With every step, he suffered heavy injuries. His face was pale as he stared at the top of the pagoda. He felt as if he was ascending to the heavens. What a strange Paladin Pagoda! Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and exhausted. He was so tired that he didn't even want to move a finger. How is it strange? Why can't I feel any pressure? The parrot was puzzled. It used its small claws to test the waters and carefully climbed up. On the 70th floor, the parrot still didn't feel any pressure. As long as it thought that the scriptures were treasures, it would take them all. Now that the divine martial weapons had appeared, the parrot didn't hesitate to take them all. Those that it didn't like were left for the Great Golden Buddha Temple and the 1,000-Dragon Tribe. When it reached the 80th floor, it felt a wave of pressure. It could clearly sense that there was a powerhouse above, as if it had experienced the vicissitudes of life for tens of thousands of years. Holy shit! There's a living person? Impossible. This pagoda has been buried for at least 10,000 years. It's definitely older than the Thousand Dragon tribe. If there's a living person, how many years has he lived? The parrot shook its head and mustered its courage to rush to the top of the pagoda. Just as it raised its foot, it was sent flying by an aura from the 85th floor. It rolled down the stairs to Yi Qinghan's feet. Dong dong dong. Ah, I'm going to fall to my death. The parrot curled up into a ball. Its hair stood on end as it cried out in alarm. What's going on up there? Yi Qinghan frowned. He stretched out his hand to grab the parrot and asked. I didn't see it, said the parrot. It was too fast. I was pushed down by a powerful force. Still in a state of shock, the parrot looked up at the top of the pagoda and decided not to go up again. Yi Qinghan frowned slightly and looked up. He realized that the pressure above was enough to crush a martial honorable. It was very likely that the pressure would become stronger as the person became stronger. Boom. Yi Qinghan collapsed once more. His legs were twisted, his flesh cracked, and his golden blood flowed out. His powerful will was supporting him. The origin of metal quickly repaired his Dao body and became even more powerful. The 75th floor, the 76th floor. 1 hour later, Yi Qinghan finally reached the 80th floor. He could feel a terrifying existence on the 2nd floor. Even though he had been dead for tens of thousands of years, his aura could still crush supreme existences. It was on the top floor. Yi Qinghan muttered. The experts of the ancient era were 2 to 3 levels stronger than the experts of the current era. It was very likely that the person on the 2nd floor was a fake emperor, but his combat power was far beyond that of most of the current boundary emperors. It's a corpse, a golden corpse. Emperor Yi squinted his eyes and looked up. He could not open his eyes because of the golden light. It can't be another emperor-level corpse, right? The parrot hid in Emperor Ye's arms. It found the protection of the divine zither, and the pressure immediately dissipated. Buddha sees those who are fated. If they are fated, then they will see each other. If they are not fated, then don't come in. A deep voice reverberated. It was incomparably deep, and was filled with compassion and Buddha's will. It seemed to have come from ancient times, and it made the parrot's hair stand on end. This was a true Buddha, an ancient Buddha. It was fundamentally different from the current Great Buddha Golden Temple. The voice dispersed, and Yi Qinghan suddenly felt the pressure disappear. His body involuntarily flew to the top of the pagoda, and so did Emperor Yi. There were no Buddhist scriptures or secret techniques above the 80th floor. They were all golden Buddhas arranged in a formation. It was incomparably majestic, as if an ancient Buddha had descended. It was filled with the true meaning of Buddha. When Yi Qinghan saw the ancient Buddhas here, he understood the difference between the ancient Buddhas and the current Buddhas. The current Great Buddha Golden Temple could not be considered a place of Buddhism. It was filled with filthy people. There was nothing other than profit. The two of them quickly reached the 90th floor. There was a lamp in the middle of the 90th floor. It had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, and it was still flickering. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. He was shocked by the ancient Buddhism. He stared at the Buddhist lamp as if he was looking at a great Buddha. The true meaning of Buddhism was reflected by the lamp. Yi Qinghan bowed deeply. The ancestors were great, and the people of today could only look up to them. The parrot was surprisingly quiet. It did not chatter endlessly and just looked at the Buddhist lamp quietly. Let's go up and pay our respects to the true Buddha. Yi Qinghan took the enlightenment lotus and pulled Emperor Yi towards the top of the golden pagoda. On the top floor, there was a huge golden skeleton sitting cross-legged on a praying mat. Streams of Buddhist true meaning transformed into runes that shot out from the skeleton and filled the entire room. It was revered and did not dare to blaspheme. The terrifying pressure was like that of the corpse of a great emperor. It was so oppressive that people could not raise their heads. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi to the top and looked at the golden skeleton. He bowed respectfully and said in a deep voice, Junior Yi Qinghan greets Senior True Buddha. Emperor Yi greets Senior True Buddha. Buddha sees the fated one. Buddha waits for the fated one. And Buddha leads the fated one. My name is Jia-in, and Buddha ordered me to wait here for a special metal origin Tao body. I don't know what year it is today, and I don't know if the human race is still struggling. Millions of years later, you have arrived. Whether or not the human race can prosper depends on you. My mission has come to an end. Several rows of small golden characters protruded from the stone pagoda. They were filled with Buddhist light and could steal one's soul. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. Was there really a Buddha in this world? Could it really predict what would happen 10,000 years later? The parrot trembled and directly drilled into Yi Qinghan's body. The divine guqin was vast and mighty, and the melody was solemn and stirring. It was sending off an ancient Buddha. My Buddha is merciful and does not harm the lives of ants. However, the descendants do not understand the true meaning of Buddha. I fear that the current Great Buddha Golden Temple has already changed. I ask Tao Friend to purge the Great Buddha Golden Temple and allow the true Buddha to reappear in the world. The golden skeleton emitted a golden light that overflowed into the sky. The entire Dead Star was submerged in Buddhist light. Everyone outside the pagoda knelt down. Shirkong and the others had tears streaming down their faces. It was as if they understood the compassion of Buddha. They did not cultivate by fighting for benefits. A true Buddha cultivated in the heart. The golden skeleton transformed into a fist-sized relic that was sparkling and translucent. It flowed with precious light, and was reflected in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness before vanishing without a trace. Boom boom boom. The golden pagoda shook and the protective array formation shattered. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi and flew out of the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda. He watched as the 1,000-foot-tall pagoda shrank and Buddhist light overflowed into the heavens. It gradually turned into a palm-sized pagoda and flew into Yi Qinghan's hand. The 10,000 Buddha's pagoda automatically broke open from Yi Qinghan's palm and recognized him as its master. A sentence appeared in Yi Qinghan's mind. 10,000 Buddha's pagoda can evolve into an extreme pseudo-emperor weapon. It can suppress all filth and evil. Boom. The 3-star slaughter robe was shattered by a wave of energy. The Buddhist Dharma made Yi Qinghan seem like a true Buddha had descended. His words and actions followed the Dharma, suppressing the divine martial Buddha, so much that he did not dare to move. The 10,000 Buddha's pagoda fused into Yi Qinghan's body. The Buddhist light around him scattered and fell to the ground. His damaged source was immediately repaired. His aura greatly increased. Looking at everyone, Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with wisdom and will. He hoarsely said, I only want this 10,000 Buddha's pagoda. As for the other supreme treasures, I will not take them. Shirkong looked at Yi Qinghan in awe. He knelt in front of him and respectfully said, The ancient great Buddha must have his true intentions for choosing you. This little monk has no objections. That's good. Let us enter the great tomb, and you will all benefit. Yi Qinghan faintly smiled. He pulled Emperor Yi towards the entrance of the great tomb. With the Buddhist Dharma of the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda protecting them, the baleful energy and filthy energy that had gathered in the great tomb for tens of thousands of years automatically spread out. Everyone was wrapped up in it as they walked deeper in. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed in front of them. Yi Qinghan stopped and pulled Emperor Yi back a step. Everyone's pores opened up and their hair stood on end. They were so frightened by the black-clothed figure in front of them that their Tao hearts nearly shattered. There was actually someone in this great tomb that had existed for tens of thousands of years. What level was this person? If he wasn't human, what kind of existence was he? Who is it? Stand out. Grand Marshal Thousand Dragon roared, trying to boost his courage. Umitba, my Buddha is merciful. Shirkong and the others shot out Buddhist light in all directions, illuminating the entrance of the great tomb. They discovered a youth sitting cross-legged on the ground, absorbing the ancient baleful energy. There was a giant saber stabbed into the ground beside him. The cold and gloomy light was able to seize one's soul as it constantly fluctuated. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. Others might not be able to recognize this figure, but he could. Baleful Edge. He is the one who activated the Great Tomb and 10,000 Buddha's pagoda. Unfortunately, he can't enter 10,000 Buddha's pagoda, and actually ran into the great tomb. This fellow's courage is truly great. Fellow Taoist Baleful Edge, long time no see. I never thought that I would see you here, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. The youth slowly stood up and pulled out the giant saber. His killing robes fluttered and his hair flew up. He turned around and looked at everyone. His eyes were like bright stars, deep and boundless. It was indeed Baleful Edge. So it's you. It's only been so long. But I never thought that you would have grown to this step. My eyes are indeed not bad. Baleful Edge seemed to be formed from baleful energy. His killing intent had materialized, and he had the battle strength of an emperor. His killing intent was enough to shatter the Tao heart of someone at the same level. No one dared to blaspheme him. So you know each other. Qianlong Baru was shocked. He stared at the youth in front of him. He was only at the initial immortal realm, but he actually had the battle strength of an immortal realm peak. He definitely had the battle strength of an emperor. Baleful Edge faced a divine martial expert, and was neither servile nor overbearing. His eyes flashed past Emperor Yi, and he was shaken by the 5-star killing robes on her body. Baleful Edge greets Lord Ancient Killing God. Baleful Edge bowed slightly. Those who could wear the 5-star killing robes were all ancient killing gods. This was an indisputable fact. The ancient killing gods had an incomparably high position in the hearts of hunters. Baleful Edge didn't want to blaspheme them. Emperor Yi nodded lightly, and didn't say anything more. Fellow Taoist Baleful Edge, have you entered the depths of the Great Tomb? Yi Qinghan was curious. This Great Tomb was definitely not as simple as he thought. It was definitely terrifying. Chapter 237. Fengsha shook his head, indicating that he hadn't found the correct entrance after searching for a long time. That was why he absorbed a large amount of baleful aura from the outside to cultivate the baleful god art. Let's go in and take a look. Yi Qinghan took the lead. Relying on the Paladin Pagoda, he pulled Emperor Yi into the depths of the tomb. It was impossible to say how big the tomb was, but from the outside, it seemed to stretch for half the size of the planet. Even if the dead planet was small, the tomb was huge. Whatever was buried here must have been a supreme existence from ancient times. With the Paladin Pagoda holding the fort, the person buried inside was probably not a good person. The tunnel at the entrance of the tomb was extremely dark. The cold air was like an ice cave, making the peak experts of the immortal sex feel extremely uncomfortable. Fengsha, on the other hand, was like a fish in water, absorbing the baleful aura crazily. Yi Qinghan protected Qianlong, Daybreak, and the others. After 100 meters, there were entrances everywhere. Life and death intertwined, making it impossible to tell which was the path of life and which was the path of death. Once you entered a path of death, you definitely wouldn't be able to walk out. The ancient tomb's formation was still maintained. All kinds of formations intertwined and intertwined. Once activated, it would affect the entire body and cause terrifying attacks. Fengsha searched for a long time, but still couldn't find the correct entrance. He didn't expect to meet Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and looked at the dozens of entrances. He found that the formations here were actually miniature versions of the 9 Revolution Thunder Star Formation. However, it was much more advanced than his own star formation. It could definitely tear apart a god martial realm expert. However, no matter how strong the formation was, its origin didn't change, and the formation I didn't change. Out of the dozens of entrances, only one was the path of life. That path led directly to the formation I, which could close most of the formations in the tomb. Yi Qinghan let go of Emperor Yi and looked at the entrances from left to right. He found that the entrances were respectively Big Dipper, Yin-Yang 8 trigrams. The path of life was in the Yin-Yang formation. When Yin and Yang combined, life appeared. The Yin-Yang formation I was the formation I of the entire formation. It was the same as the 9 Revolution Thunder Star formation on Alfal. We'll enter through this path. Follow closely. Even if it's a path of survival, the path is filled with danger, Yi Qinghan said sternly. Young master, if we really can't do it, then we should just give up. This place is truly too dangerous. Even this old man feels apprehensive. I keep feeling that there is something inconceivable in this tomb. Qianlong feudal marshal was worried that something would happen to Yi Qinghan, so he kindly reminded him. Yi Qinghan grinned. In the past, when he hadn't reached this level of cultivation, he, Gu Qingyu, and Sikong Qingjun had been roaming the various death traps of Aldragon region. That was how he had reached the level of battle king of a region. Now, if he didn't dare to take risks because of his high cultivation and high status, then what was the point of cultivating? This place is indeed very dangerous. You all should leave, but I will take the risk and explore. Yi Qinghan said seriously. I will go in as well. I was the one who activated this place, which means that we are fated to be together. I will not be satisfied if I retreat halfway through. Feng Sha said coldly. We pledge our lives to protect Lord Emperor Yi. Qianlong Daybreak and the others said in unison. Ba, this little monk has lived for 1,000 years in vain. Only now did I understand the true meaning of Buddha. This is all thanks to young master. I am willing to protect you in life and death. Shirkong bowed. His aura had changed greatly. The greedy light disappeared. It seemed that he had truly understood the true meaning of ancient Buddha. Sigh. How can this old man let young master take the risk alone? Qianlong feudal marshal sighed. He stared at the people behind him and said in a deep voice, Lufeng Xiandong, you two follow me in. Everyone else leave. If this old man dies in the tomb, Qianlong Wenshang will take over the position of family head and star lord. No one is allowed to object. Ba, Shifeng, you all leave as well. Today, this little monk will accompany young master into hell. If we don't return, you two will jointly preside over the great Buddha Golden Temple in Thousand Leaf Starfield. From then on, you will no longer compete for benefits. Everyone will stay in the temple and comprehend the true meaning of Buddha. These were his last words. The divine martial experts understood that entering the tomb this time might mean that they would be buried here forever. Si Quan and the other two star lords had ugly expressions. They didn't want to follow in. They bowed to Shirkong and Yi Qinghan and said, This old man is old. I have the heart but not the strength. Please forgive me, young master. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. He didn't care about trash like Si Quan at all. So what if they were divine martial experts? Once the human race was in danger, they would definitely become traitors. If there was a chance, he would definitely kill them first. Let's go in. Yi Qinghan led Emperor Yi in front. Feng Sha followed closely behind. The four divine martial experts guarded the sides. They didn't dare to look away from Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Qianlong, Daybreak, and the others followed at the back. They looked around and found that the entire tomb was made of fine steel. Even if they attacked, they couldn't break through. Moreover, there was a great formation around them. This tomb was the true masterpiece. Those who didn't understand the 9 revolution, heavenly thunder star formation could enter but not leave. Even if they did, they might not be able to leave. The deeper they went, the heavier the baleful and evil aura became. It was so oppressive that they couldn't breathe. They felt like they were being watched by dead spirits. The parrot felt uncomfortable. Even in Yi Qinghan's body, it felt uneasy. It jumped out and asked, There won't be dead spirits here, right? Shut up. Don't jinx it. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like bright stars. He held the enlightenment lotus in his palm, illuminating the path ahead. He looked at the deep passage with a gloomy mood, and scolded the parrot angrily. You'll suffer if you don't listen to the divine bird. Just watch. If there aren't any dead spirits here, I'll fly out. The parrot snorted and said angrily. These words made everyone uneasy. Dead spirits. If they gathered the baleful aura of the tomb, and grew for tens of thousands of years, how terrifying would they be? Even boundary emperors would become food. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. This lowly bird's words were making him bristle with anger. Every time it said something good, it wouldn't come true. It had become a habit of his. Now, he firmly believed that there was a dead spirit in this forbidden area. He could only pray that the dead spirit here had only just matured. Tap, tap, tap. Everyone's footsteps echoed in the passage, as if they were beating on their hearts. Battle Immortal Qianlong and the other martial saints couldn't bear it. Their faces were pale as they looked ahead. They found that there was no other light besides the Enlightenment Lotus. It was incomparably dark. Woo-woo! A gust of cold wind blew past, and terrifying sounds rang out incessantly. The unpleasant stench of rot made everyone want to vomit. Feng Sha was the most excited. The baleful god art made his blood boil, and his hair stand on end. He crazily absorbed the baleful aura. His entire body became lifeless like a dead spirit. The four divine martial saints felt abnormally terrified. Emperor Yi had the divine zither's protection, so he was the most relaxed. Yi Qinghan's heart was protected by the 10,000 Buddha pagoda. As long as the 10,000 Buddha pagoda didn't shatter, he wouldn't be instantly killed by the enemy. This confidence made him determined to walk forward. Gradually, a large number of corpses appeared in front of them. Their flesh and blood had been eroded by the wind, leaving only the eerie white bones. They scattered with the wind. The deathly aura was like that of hell. Everyone looked at the corpses and couldn't help but gasp. How many people had died here? 10,000 bones. The corpses piled up like a mountain. It looked like there were at least a few 100,000 people. The skulls formed a wall. The empty eye sockets were still sinister, as if they were glaring angrily at everyone. At this moment, the parrot quieted down. It stared at the skulls on both sides of the wall and whispered, "Does this person want to be the emperor of hell? The person buried here must be a madman. He wanted to prove his Tao so much that he went crazy. He was even crazier than Gui Chenzi." "What do you mean?" Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. "He wants to borrow the life essence of countless experts to prove his Tao with his physical body, to become a ghost emperor." The parrot whispered back, "His coffin is inside. It must be at the end of more than 10 passageways. That place is where the will and life essence of experts converge. He wants to evolve his physical body. He cultivates the ghost emperor technique." The parrot's eyes flickered as it looked into the depths. Its feathers exploded. Yi Qinghan didn't ask. He knew the parrot wouldn't tell him the truth. He led the group forward. After walking for an unknown period of time, a huge palace appeared. It was grand and incomparably surging. A netherworld river appeared in front of the palace. Blood water wrapped around the palace, as if this palace was the ghost emperor's main hall. A large bridge spanned across the netherworld river. It was gloomy and filled with the aura of death. Yi Qinghan followed the bridge and looked down at the netherworld river. He saw blood and bones floating in the netherworld river. There were at least 1,000,000 corpses. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It was impossible to tell how many people had died here. However, they knew that those who died here were at least at the Immortal Gate realm. Moreover, most of them were ancient experts. The baleful aura here was extremely dense. It had turned into supreme-grade baleful essence and sunk to the bottom of the netherworld river. Feng Sha was the only one who could smile. His smile made people's hair stand on end. "This is really my paradise," Feng Sha said bluntly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the netherworld river suddenly swelled. Everyone's pupils constricted as they saw a huge ship approaching from the end of the netherworld river. It was filled with people. No, they weren't people. They were Yin soldiers. Yin soldiers passing through. Everyone stopped breathing. The parrot was terrified. He stopped breathing and stared at the Yin soldiers on the ghost ship. They were holding ancient spears in their hands. They were incomparably sinister. They could directly penetrate a person's body and suck out their vitality in an instant. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. He put away the Enlightenment Divine Lotus and followed Emperor Yi closely. Even the Divine Zither automatically entered his body and no longer appeared. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the ghost ship moved extremely quickly. The leader of the Yin soldiers looked down at Yi Qinghan and the others. There was no emotion in his eyes. It made people's hair stand on end. Yi Qinghan and the others retracted their aura. There were no signs of vitality as they quietly waited for the Yin soldiers to leave. After a long time, the ghost ship disappeared. The parrot was almost paralyzed. He roared, "Master, let's leave quickly. There are Yin soldiers here. It means that a ghost emperor has been born here. Even if it is a boundary emperor, it is much stronger than those boundary emperors now." Qianlong feudal marshal. and the others were so frightened that they broke out in cold sweat. They were speechless for a long time. They looked at the hall as if they were looking at an ancient great emperor. They couldn't lift their legs and wanted to kneel. Feng Xiao was about to step over the bridge when he was pulled back by Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said, "Don't go near the bridge. This is the only path of death. As long as you step on the bridge, your vitality will be sucked away instantly. Even divine martial experts can't escape death. If you want the baleful essence, you can get it from the riverbank." Chapter 238. In this gloomy world, other than eerie skeletons, there was an endless river of blood. It was like a real hell. This hall was the underworld, and a ghost emperor was being born. 1,000 years later or 10,000 years later, this place would most likely become a real hell, absorbing all the vitality of the world. Amitba, this is the calamity of the human race. Shirkong said in a low voice, afraid that he would awaken the terrifying existence in the hall. Ha ha ha. This is not the calamity of the human race, but the calamity of the entire universe. Once the ghost emperor here attains his Tao, he will be the supreme emperor, controlling the life and death of all living beings. Even if a great emperor comes, it will be useless. Unless the 3 desolate emperors revive, the endless universe will fall into eternal darkness. The parrot sneered. Yi Qinghan's fingertips twitched. He knew that the parrot was telling the truth. The ghost emperor attains his Tao and controls reincarnation and destruction. Who in this world could resist him? At this time, no one can awaken this terrifying existence. Otherwise, the calamity will come in advance. This is much more terrifying than the dead spirits. At this level, he is not afraid of the scorching sun or the laws of time. His physical body can block everything. Wherever he goes, it will be hell. The parrot continued. Yi Qinghan stared at the parrot and asked in a deep voice, was there anyone who cultivated this ghost emperor technique in ancient times? What level did they reach? According to my inherited memories, in ancient times, there was a genius. He was the one who created the ghost emperor technique. He borrowed the life essence and obsession of the human experts of a star field to cultivate his physical body to the 8th layer of the quasi-emperor realm. He was only half a step away from the 9th layer. Unfortunately, all the experts of the star field died. He was unable to continue absorbing the obsession and vitality of the experts. In the end, he broke out of seclusion and slaughtered his way out. He killed the human race and other races until they fell into despair. Even the quasi-emperors were killed by him, and half-step emperor weapons were as weak as tofu in his hands. Back then, the Tao realm experts of the 9 great holy lands brought out an extreme emperor weapon, but they could only slow him down a little. They were unable to kill him. However, he became stronger and stronger. The human race was defeated, and the other races joined forces. Even the dead spirits sent out supreme existences, but they were still unable to suppress him. At that time, the endless universe was hell. The experts wailed and the quasi-emperors did not dare to disperse. But the ghost emperor was torturing all living beings. That would be the real end of the world. Yi Qinghan and the others all had cold expressions. This sort of secret technique was simply not something that could be created by a human. Instead of contributing to the glory of humanity, this corpse wanted to suck away the essence of humanity and torture human powerhouses, swallowing their obsessions. No wonder this place was suppressed by the 10,000 Buddhas pagoda. If it weren't for the 10,000 Buddhas pagoda, this corpse would have already been able to confirm its Tao. What happened in the end? Who could suppress such a terrifying existence? Qianlong feudal marshal asked in shock. The golden bloodline and the physique of the human sovereign have emerged from the calamity. That person seems to be the first ancestor of the golden bloodline, Si Huangtian. He came out of nowhere with a golden body and red blood that ignited the heavens. With the aura of a grand emperor, he fought with the imperial corpse and destroyed countless stars. However, in the end, the mortal emperor was still a mortal emperor. In the end, he destroyed the imperial corpse with one palm and used his golden blood to burn it. It took him a year to burn that terrifying corpse into nothingness. See, Wuxia is still far from confirming his Tao. If you guys awaken this imperial corpse, humanity will definitely be destroyed without a grand emperor. Everyone was shocked. A ninth-layer quasi-emperor was actually able to fight against the golden bloodline human sovereign. Although he was suppressed, it wasn't hard to see that his battle prowess was terrifying. Once he confirmed his Tao and became a grand emperor, he would definitely be comparable to the human sovereign. Yi Qinghan looked towards the main hall of the underworld and realized that this underworld was located at the head of the 9 dragons. It gathered the baleful aura of the world. One could imagine that this star must have been extremely powerful tens of thousands of years ago. Unfortunately, its fate was destroyed by the underground palace, and it became a dead star. The star became smaller day by day and didn't attract any attention. The great golden Buddha temple of the ancient era discovered this place and couldn't do anything about it, so they used the 10,000 Buddhas pagoda to suppress this place. The ghost emperor of the underworld was definitely related to the first ghost emperor. It was very likely that he was a direct descendant within 3 generations. I'll take his fate. Feng Sha sneered and stepped onto the underworld river. The soul devourer blade cut into the river and crazily swallowed the souls and obsessions. The vengeful spirits and obsessions seemed to have found a home and crazily surged towards the soul devourer blade. Feng Sha sat cross-legged on the river bank and formed seals with his palms. The baleful god art activated his baleful body. Baleful aura poured into his body and formed a golden baleful body. The baleful aura formed a huge black dragon that coiled around Feng Sha's body and tempered it. The parrot was speechless and didn't know if this was a good idea. If the ghost emperor was alerted, he could slap them into pieces. However, if Feng Sha could absorb most of the baleful aura and obsessions here, the ghost emperor's Tao confirmation would definitely be delayed. You guys stay here. I'll go in and take a look. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and made a decision that made the parrot roll its eyes. Was your brain kicked by a donkey? The parrot was almost furious and its tone was extremely disrespectful. This was the first time it spoke to Yi Qinghan in such a manner. Are we going to withdraw and wait for death? How can our cultivation speed be compared to the ghost emperor's? If he confirms his Tao first and we don't, the entire universe will be his food, Yi Qinghan said seriously. I agree with the young master's words. Even if we can stop him by half a step, it will be a great contribution to the human race. Shirkong said in a deep voice. What if we alarm him? The parrot asked with dissatisfaction. If we wake him up now, it means that he's about to wake up. If we don't wake him up, I can destroy the feng shui inside and make his cultivation stagnate. It's good for both of us to disrupt his cultivation plan. You've been stopping me from going in. What are you afraid of? How much do you know? Also, what kind of existence are you? Why do you know so much? Don't talk nonsense with me. Inherited memories can't let you know so much. Yi Qinghan coldly looked at the parrot. He felt that it was not only unreliable but also untrustworthy. I'm afraid you'll alarm him and I'll die here. I'll lose many years of my life. This divine bird still wants to be the myriad beast divine emperor. The parrot muttered. If you don't want to talk, then shut up. I want to go in and see what's going on. If I can use the palatial Buddha pagoda to suppress him, then I'll smash him to death. Yi Qinghan said in a muffled voice. Please don't. If the palatial Buddha pagoda could subdue him, then the ancient great golden Buddha temple would have destroyed him long ago. Why wait until now? The parrot's body trembled as it hurriedly tried to stop him. Hell was silent. It was so quiet that even breathing could be heard. Gurgle, the netherworld river boiled and blood surged. The divine martial Tao soldiers were corroded and rushed to the shore from the depths. Yi Qinghan gazed at the netherworld palace. He still wanted to go in and see what was going on. There was a terrifying existence in front of him that could destroy the galaxy at any time, but he didn't dare to go in and stop it. Would he still be able to prove his Tao in the future? The netherworld palace was majestic and majestic. The aura of death was thick, and there was a giant whirlpool in the sky. It formed a path of reincarnation that even obsessions couldn't break through. At this moment, the netherworld river was split in two. A portion of the baleful aura and obsessions were sealed and plundered, while the rest was sucked into the Netherworld Palace. Yi Qinghan prepared to step onto the bridge alone, but Emperor Yi grabbed his hand, and they stepped onto the bridge together. This bridge was even more terrifying than the bridge of helplessness. There was no life in it, and any creature that stepped onto it would be instantly sucked dry, and their corpses would fall into the Netherworld River. The parrot straightened its legs and spread its wings. It stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder, and looked at the bridge in horror. In its heart, it cursed Yi Qinghan for being a madman and Emperor Yi for being a stubborn little madman. Yi Qinghan used the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda to suppress his life essence. He stepped onto the ancient bridge, and his vitality rapidly flowed. His metal Dao body emitted a golden light, and crazily absorbed the vitality. His black hair instantly turned white, as if he had aged 1,000 years. The divine zither covered Emperor Yi. Divine light fluctuated and illuminated the Netherworld Palace. There was almost no fluctuation in vitality. The divine zither was indeed tyrannical and terrifying. Amitabha, Buddha, although I didn't believe in you before, I do now. You must protect me. The parrot wanted to cry, but no tears came out. It stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder, and didn't dare to move. Once it left the protection of the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda, it was likely that it would instantly turn into a dried corpse. In front of the bridge, the 4 divine martial powerhouses held their breath. They looked at Yi Qinghan's back and his white hair in the air, and couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Daybreak Thousand Dragon and the others finally understood why Yi Qinghan could be Emperor Ye's master, and why they could only be Emperor Ye's followers. This was the fundamental difference. He had a Dao heart that had reached the pinnacle of madness in order to prove his Dao. There was no obstacle that could stop him. Even if there was no path, he could still carve out a path. Yi Qinghan arrived at the center of the bridge. He felt that this bridge was a cycle of reincarnation that could take away all vitality. He had the metal Dao body and the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda, but he could only be on par with the reincarnation bridge. If anyone else were to arrive on this bridge, they would definitely not have any chance of survival. Standing on the bridge and overlooking the Netherblood River, one could see the entirety of hell in a single glance. This place was filled with killing intent and the aura of death. The wills of the resentful spirits wanted to break free from the Netherblood River, but they were imprisoned by an invisible tearing force and couldn't break free. Looking at the endless blood river, one couldn't see where it ended or where it began. Terrifying waves of blood overturned the sky and surged towards this place. The smell of blood was suffocating. Yi Qinghan was puzzled. This dead star had been dead for 10,000 years, so where did all this blood and vitality come from? Where did this Netherblood River begin? Do you know where this blood comes from? Yi Qinghan asked the parrot. This river isn't the legendary Netherblood River, but rather the Avicii Blood River. It connects countless spaces through a different space. It is invisible and traceless, and it takes the initiative to absorb corpses. It can even attract the souls of powerhouses, causing them to unconsciously enter the Avicii Blood River, and provide it with vitality and fresh blood. To be able to create the Avicii Blood River, this is a true master's skill. Those who dare to cultivate the Ghost Emperor technique are those with tyrannical wisdom. TSK, to cultivate to the level of a quasi-emperor, and then create the Avicii Blood River to cultivate the Ghost Emperor technique, using the physical body to prove the Tao. This kind of person is a madman. The parrot seemed to know everything, and explained the basic cultivation path of the Ghost Emperor technique. Yi Qinghan looked deeply at the parrot. He was secretly vigilant, afraid that one day he would be tricked by it and have to thank it. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan summoned Berserk, and used the Avicii Blood River to temper his battle saber. Once Berserk was used, it was even more terrifying than the Soul Devourer Tachi. The Avicii Blood River's baleful aura split the world into 3 parts. The black baleful aura, and the wills of the living beings on the reincarnation road instantly decreased by a lot. Berserk was a divine weapon that could evolve. As long as Yi Qinghan was strong enough, he could evolve it into a quasi-extreme emperor weapon. If he had the materials, it was even possible to evolve it into a true extreme emperor weapon. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.